All right, guys, we're back. All right, so we're back on that. So we're back already. Just waiting for the people to re-enter. There's Tyson. Tyson came right in. Shrek came right in as well. So, all right. So, yep, there we go. All right. So, Mike, you can go ahead, Mike.
I appreciate that. So I want to address a couple of the points now. Jay, I like to I look. I think you guys are misunderstanding. You want to disagree just to disagree here. Jay, when you first came up, you said the stresses that are going to happen to these small businesses, and you mentioned stuff that I was wrong about. But what your answer was kind of a non-answer there. You're like, you never mentioned projections, you never mentioned the stuff, you never mentioned this, you never mentioned that, you never mentioned this, and I did mention all of that. And it seems like what you guys are arguing for is you just want to go back to how things were. You don't want someone in there messing shit up and drawing attention to this kind of stuff. We said there was going to be a problem. Now it's kind of like similar to this. If there's two companies, the American consumer decides what they want. If there is a company that is manufacturing overseas and now all of a sudden it's more expensive for them, and they're like, fuck, well, it's going to take me fucking 13 months to bring this back over here. Well, I'll just pay the tariffs and I'll raise my prices. Well, guess what? Americans aren't going to buy it. And if there's a company, so like if there's a company that makes a product here for $20, and there's a company that makes the same exact product overseas for $15, I was buying the $15 product. Now they still want to manufacture overseas, so instead of their shit costing 15, it's now going to cost 25. So I can either buy the American product for 20 or buy the product I used to always buy now for 25. I'm like, well, shit, I'd rather buy the American now for 20. Now it forces the other company to come back, however hard it takes, and the stresses you're talking about, and they can come back and now they can be competitive. Now it's 20 and 20. Now, oh shit, what's the market value? Who makes the better product now? Now all the money is staying in America. The jobs are staying in America. I get what you're saying. The stresses that are being brought. And Jay mentioned the small businesses, and then I think it was Remus. I'm on chatter here, so it just looks like Jonathan's talking. But I think it was Remus, and Remus immediately brought up Chevrolet and all these giant fucking corporations. I promise you guys, Chevrolet can get a factory up and running in the next 6 months. I promise you. Ford can get a factory up and running no problem. They outsourced the jobs because it was cheaper. And it's weird to me how people are arguing. They're like, oh, well, I think it's better that America just outsources and pays people cheaper money than actually building in America and paying people what the competitive wage is. It makes the wages become competitive. Then now unions get stronger. All kinds of stuff happens when you bring it back. And it was told to you it might be a fucking problem. And I promise you, and you know what I'm tired of hearing? I'm tired of hearing how, well, these are jobs that Americans just don't, they don't want to sit there and do this stuff. Hey, I hate to break it to you guys. Americans are the hardest working people on the fucking planet. We work more hours than anyone in the world. We have more innovation than anyone in the world, and we always constantly build better mousetraps. But we know what we're worth, and we get paid what we're worth, and the companies understand that. We are the hardest working fucking people on the fucking planet, and I would put that up against anybody. So what Donald Trump is doing is throwing a wrench in this situation. He is making it to where you guys, like, I don't understand how everyone just wants the status quo to stay the same. Let's shake some shit up here. Maybe the shit that's going on. And by the way, the Constitution shit, Trump is abiding by all the judge's
He
orders.
is not.
He's not going against any judge's orders. The only one you can say is the plain thing, and that, like you said, the thing was in the air. The El Salvador citizen. We can get back into this case by case basis, but he's abiding by all the
He is
judge's
not.
orders. They're just appealing him up to the Supreme Court. He says it over and over. He's like, of course I'm going to abide by the judge's orders. I don't understand what people are up against us about. But if it
Okay.
comes out a year and a half from now, I'll land with this. If it comes out a year and a half or 2 years from now that all this shit was actually fraud and corruption, and he ended up saving and made our government run more efficiently and smoother, why would anyone have a problem with this? And I don't believe I've said anything that's wrong here.
So one, what's wrong is you just talked about manufacturing of Chevy outside the country. I'm pretty sure Chevy has multiple like factories inside the United States.
So you didn't
And
listen to a single thing I said.
no, I'm addressing it piece by piece. I did. I mean, you just talked
I
for
didn't
like
say that.
you actually did. There's a recording. You can go on Clubhouse, re-listen to this. It's this part is recorded. And you'll say, man, blah blah, Chevy's manufactured outside the country, and it'd be cheaper if they did it here. But manufacturers are in the country in multiple states. That's just one thing. If you're going to interrupt me over and over, go ahead and let me know now so I can be ready for it. But outside of that, you actually talked about the difference between $20 and $25. I'll answer this: where is every single T-shirt inside the United States made? How long would it take to have a factory inside the United States to make T-shirts? How much a T-shirt is going to cost with a 254 tax? And if that's the case, how will the American that makes $18 or less survive when they have to pay a 254% tax on their necessities or essentials when it comes to them surviving for the next 12 to 14 months? Who the hell is going to make sure they're okay? But I guess who cares when I can make do above that? And that's the problem. With your ideology, you're thinking that things are set up a way that they're not. And you are not thinking about how money actually flows. Because money doesn't stack and sit still with the people who actually have money, it just flows. And they flow, and as it flows, it collects more and comes right back. But if you're the person that makes enough money, they can actually stack it, and that means you're upper middle class. Then you might be able to ride the wave, unless you're somebody who banked on the American way and decided to become an entrepreneur. And you know this one piece of being an entrepreneur, and you've been making money to a certain point. Like, because the other piece is that you're a hustler. I'm not talking about the people who are hustlers, because I understand hustler. But you're talking about an American way and ideology that doesn't depend on America being what it is, status quo. Even if there was a small shift or change, at least it's signal, and then they can actually see it and adjust. But you're talking about somebody just riding out abrupt changes just like that. And
Wait,
man,
say that
just
again.
riding out abrupt
No, no,
changes
an American ideology that doesn't depend on American. What was it?
that doesn't depend on an American ideology that depends on America being riding how it rides, right? Like America is what it is. It can softly change, and most people can adjust to those changes because they see them coming. But when an abrupt change happens, bam, and then another abrupt change
Oh,
happens,
I
and
see what
you
you're saying.
get,
Okay, okay.
you get what I'm saying now? Because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what's happening. Like I put it like this: I have constituents, I have people that I know who are also business owners. They've already closed. They've already shut down because they can't handle the changes.
But Jay, would when you let's say someone starts even on the show Shark Tank, when they're talking about manufacturing, or you might even
Let's
hell,
let's
you
talk about it
yourself might
on the
be this.
show.
Well,
Uh-huh.
you yourself might be this, or you might know somebody that has to do this. When they start a business and they have to do manufacturing, they have a choice. They can manufacture here, or they can manufacture overseas. Now, even on that show Shark Tank, those fucking billionaires that were sitting there, they're like, "Why the?" I mean, they'll literally say this. Why the fuck would you manufacture here? Go watch some of those old Shark Tank shows from back in the day. They're like, "Why the fuck would you manufacture here? Why would you do that? You can manufacture overseas and land it back here for $3, or you can manufacture it here and it's fucking already fucking $10 to make it. You can do it over there and land it back for $3, have a nice markup, and you're bang." But my point is, they have that choice. The manufacturing can be done here. It always could be done here. There's never been a time where it couldn't be done here. They
That's
chose.
actually
They
inaccurate, Mike.
chose to go
Mike,
overseas.
Mike,
Mike, I asked a
Mike, that's
question.
actually inaccurate now. The
Very
fact
inaccurate.
that we have gone, that China became basically the entire world's manufacturing uh, facilities and factories. There is a massive, like, you could put football fields worth of the type of tooling and skilled tooling individuals in China versus in the United States. You're going to end up having, we're going to import those individuals on special types of visas to be able to have them in our country to be able to run facilities. You would literally, we don't have the, there's a, I don't know how much research you have have done in this area, and I actually wonder if part of you, you're just having fun with us. That's what I feel. I feel like part of this,
Hey,
guys,
Laura.
Mike's
Laura,
just having fun with
Exactly.
us.
That's what
Like
I'm
this is
thinking.
Mike
almost
actually
like
left the
not
room.
even worth
Right.
having a conversation because he's just put like we're placating into this conversation because he just hasn't he's not well read on the topic. If you were well
Hi.
read on the topic,
Hey,
I
Laura,
you wouldn't be able to
Laura,
substantiate.
Laura,
And
this
it's
is Jay.
actually almost 3 a.m. where I am. And I have a flight at 9:40, so I probably
Laura,
should go to
Mike
bed.
left the room. Mike is
Hi,
But
my
gone.
this has
name's.
been fun.
Could I just add to
Yeah.
that? Hi, guys. Sorry to interrupt. Just on topic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Br-
is that
I,
Shafat?
sorry.
Oh, who is that?
It's Simon here. I'm on stage.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah. Just a quick point on that, by way of example, in terms of the US's capability of suddenly manufacturing to a large extent all the goods that it's currently importing from abroad, is that 70% of Amazon's products are manufactured in China. So to suddenly just switch a button and go, okay, we will manufacture those in the US. It's just not a button switch scenario. It just can't be. It just isn't. And also, obviously China is it's based upon its cheaper labor, which makes the prices lower fundamentally. Yeah, that's what it is. So how can you just suddenly employ people in the US to make it competitive, even with the tariffs? Yeah, when the labor costs are so disproportionate. I don't see how that again. It's just not a button press. Yeah, and tariffs. If you think of free trade, I see capitalism as a fair exchange, fair exchange based upon a value driven by the market. Tariffs for me are just not that. You're trying to control the market, and that's not free trade. That's just I'm in the UK, and obviously we're all dealing with this, and a lot of the time nobody really knows um, how it's all going to pan out. But in reality, I think it's a trade war between the US and China. That's the reality of it, and we all get caught up in that for sure. But I just don't think it's as easy as going put tariffs, bring manufacturing internally. I just don't see it being that simple.
I agree, Simon. I just want to add something real quick. So, to avoid U.S. labor costs or minimum wage, you go overseas in China and you pay people pennies on the dollar. Nike does it, right? So, 70, I think it was 97% of our apparel or our foot production comes from China. So, we take a look at what they pay pennies on the dollar for production of shoes, and then those shoes are shipped back to the United States and sold. They pay those guys pennies, and then they turn around and house those individuals that they're paying the labor, and then they had live in Nike housing. Nike has housing for them. Then they turn around and all their costs, their food, their housing, their apartments, everything where they live in China, that money goes back to Nike because Nike owns where they live. So now their money, they're getting all of that money back, and they're virtually paying nothing, right? So now with Trump's tariffs, that costs go up because now if we have to bring manufacturing back to the United States or face a 35% tariff or whatever it is, now my costs go up as a consumer. So the issue here is that he's not accounting also for retaliatory tariffs. And also there's another issue. There's multiple variables here. The other issue is that the small businesses won't survive. Small businesses who compete with Nike, small businesses who are trying to get in, like you mentioned Shark Tank, these new businesses that are being brought up every single day, have no way of competing with large companies like this. There's no way for them to compete with the manufacturing costs. There's no way for them to build and create and have labor here in the United States and actually subject to them a minimum wage of 15 or $20 an hour, and then turn around and sell those goods because their goods are going to be way more expensive to sell, which means that the consumer will be looking at a more expensive good with a less known price, less known name. So they're going to go with another name and not purchase theirs. That's a huge issue going on right now. Without Trump's knowledge of retaliatory tariffs as well, that's another bind on the US consumer, right? So that's another problem that we're going to face as we go along. The original, what Trump originally campaigned on was the lowering the price of goods, lowering the price of eggs. He mentioned that in his campaign. He has yet to deliver. The We have a lot of issues that we have to deal with and a lot of variables, also dealing with how we get the food and products here to the United States as well. We talked about the canal, the Panama Canal being sold, the war in the South China Sea. China's attempting to take over waterways with the Belt and Road Initiative, as well as the String of Pearls, which controls the waterways, and they're taxing the waterways as well. So there's a lot of wars, a lot of fights, a lot of pushes for territory going on as we speak as well. In addition to tariffs, and also the relationships that we have with all these other countries that we're putting slapping tariffs on them. We kill the relationship with them, and then they establish a relationship with another country, further weakening us.
Well, I mean, based obviously in the UK, we're having that conversation all the time, which is right. Well, okay, so we have to reinvent our relationships. Yeah, we've got no choice. No country has a choice. And interestingly, on the point we were talking about, I can't remember if it's 60 or 80 of the largest brands in the West. So not just American, but but obviously a lot of them are. But in the West as a whole, they have their manufacturing based in China. So they're effectively, going to have to, their prices have to go up by definition, because if they're manufacturing in China and there's the tariff, they're going to have to. So I can't see how inflation and prices won't go up. But you know, it's it, it's it's one of those situations where, because I see Trump has been, just as from outside observing, has definitely galvanized a feeling of change where maybe change was required, particularly maybe on the political front. Because let's face it, he got voted in, and he got voted in because the political system, the people who voted him didn't feel that they were getting what they needed out of their representation. So he came in, and that's he's galvanized that change. How it all pans out is yet to be seen. Um, but you know, I mean, I'm a lawyer, and you know, when there was sort of like, um, how can I put it, the U.S. government, he was using executive orders to skirt round, the legal process. That doesn't sit comfortably, but hey, anyway, I'm shut up now. I'm gabbling on. Thanks for letting me have an opinion.
Bro, it sure sound good. What the fuck you just said? It sure sound good.
Yeah, the issue here though is that like companies that can't compete, they get eaten up by those larger companies. So Amazon, Apple, the larger companies, Nvidia, those companies, the small guy can't compete, right? So if there's no social mobility, with that lack of social mobility, if I want to start a company and I want to compete and I want to have that ability to make money and then get into the next tax bracket, there's a glass ceiling over my head. And that's the issue with the economics of this tariff, right? The economics show us that It's the barriers to entry into a new market for manufacturing become more difficult with tariffs and retaliatory tariffs because these new companies cannot afford the manufacturing, the labor costs, and things like that, which increase over time, as well as we have an inflation issue as well.
Well, I'll give you that. I think that's an important point. But you know what's happened in America over the last couple of decades here is this place has got too big. It's almost like it's they say that thing too big to fail, right? Like even with the Uber thing or any idea that happens in America, what ends up happening is yeah, the little guy can't compete. But if you really look into all those different stories, they end up having an idea, building up their idea, and they sell it. Because if it's a good enough idea, the big motherfuckers come in there, swoop in there, and they offer them some crazy amount of money. And the people are like, yeah, okay. And they sell their company. But what they normally do is after they sell it, they stay on the payroll for like a $250,000 a year job. Like they'll get their payout, right? Oh, we'll give you $60 million to buy your company, and you stay on with a $300,000 a year salary. So they get their salary, plus they make their big ass fucking payout. But you're right. The little guy, the best thing you can do in America, seriously, if you got an idea, you have the idea, you patent it, you try to get it started, and then you fucking sell it. You fucking sell it. You sell your business. Then you try to do it again. Like one of the best things, like people look at what they did. Oh, you started a business at the age of 25, you sold it by 32. You know what I mean? And they did something else. And they did something else. Then you start buying land. Then you got all your money in assets, appreciating assets, and you have money making money. That's how this whole thing kind of works. And you're right. It is
That's
kind
how
of wild.
Microsoft works.
It's
What?
not the
That's how
easiest though.
Google
I mean,
works.
95% of businesses fail. 50% of them fail in their first year. In order to truly scale, it takes capital to scale. In order to get that capital, whether it's equity or debt capital, you have to have a certain amount of collateral and credit worthiness, and it's way more complicated than that.
The
and
idea could be
and yes,
collateral.
hold on 1 minute, Mike. Yeah, look, I have scaled companies and I've exited companies. I've worked with three high net worth family offices as their CFO and COO. So and I've been a co-owner in one of the companies that exited to one of the largest food service companies in the world. So I
Did they
get this.
sell?
What?
Did they sell?
Yes, I built a company. I helped build
Well,
Happy
that
Chicken
just-
Seafood from 14 to 450 million in 8 years, and we sold to Gordon Food Service, and I was a co-owner.
right. They
So,
sell. That's what I said.
okay, but it's look, the amount of money that it took, and this is private, I'm not going to share it, but the amount of money it took for Howard Halpern and he was also the owner of Buckhead Beef. He sold it to Cisco Food Service. He became the largest he took stock instead, and this is all public. He took stock instead of cash when he sold Buckhead Beef to Cisco back in the day, and he became the largest single shareholder in independent shareholder,
Team.
shareholder, individual
Yeah.
shareholder in Cisco because he rode the growth of Cisco. But that took a significant amount of wealth, and then to rebuild a company after the earnouts and after the non-competes, it took guts and a willingness to go back into the business, and it took a shit ton of wealth to be able to scale that business again.
And hard work.
Yes, 80-hour work weeks and a significant amount of work. And there's I don't I mean there but working within the tech and non-tech startup world now for a decade, it is a massive, massive challenge to scale a business, to get the capital to scale a business, there's nothing wrong with just with creating a healthy 6-digit or 7-digit business. That's, many people live very comfortable lives building a healthy 6 or healthy 7-digit business. Um, but those are less attractive and they don't get the types of multiples. And sometimes it's better to keep those businesses and get an annuity off of the cash flow off of them than selling them, because you're not going to get that great multiple and that great earnout and that great 6-digit income unless you build a multi 8 or 9-digit company.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. When people talk about the little guys, they can't. The little guys can't make it against the big corporations. I'm talking about those sectors and those industries where little guys have to compete. I mean, if someone has, like, my neighbor has a pool company, like, there's no big corporation that goes around and does people's pools that's going to come buy him out. But he's competing with like 30 other fucking local pool companies that some guy just wants to have a pool company, right? I get it. But if you have a major idea and you want to try to go after the industry where these big motherfuckers are running, you have no shot. Your best shot is to try to, like, have some kind of crazy little niche, and then they end up fucking buying your niche from you where you don't have any control of it anymore. They're going to take it away from you. But that's what, like you said, the guy you mentioned. I mean, the guy you mentioned, he was a genius in getting in, taking the stocks and stuff. But think about how many people he put on to work. Think about how many people he gave livelihoods to who ended up finding a purpose in life and now making their career and their job path and their trade better. And now maybe they went on to work and open other companies and do other shit, right? And they ended up hiring people and putting people on and building stuff. Like, that's the whole point of this. You know what I mean? Finding better mousetraps, understanding how business works, and how making money is not just about, oh, well, I have this thing that I'm going to sell. I made it for $10. I'm going to sell it to you for 20. I made $10. No, now business can be understood as, fuck, I'm like doing this whole operation, right? I'm like making money on all kinds of stuff. It gets crazy when you start understanding how money can really be made. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to anybody? No?
Some of what you were saying, I agree with this. I like this, at least this conversation. It's a conversation. And I appreciate that we kind of transitioned to more of a conversation than a attacking back and forth. It's been fun getting to know you, Mike. Appreciate the folks over on Clubhouse that I'm not seeing all your names. Thanks, Jay, for jumping in. It is 3:08. I'm going to sign out.
Yo, you're on the East Coast too, huh?
I'm on the East Coast and I've got a 9:40 flight to New York. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to duck out, and otherwise, I'm going to be up all night long.
Good shit, Laura. God bless.
And God bless you guys.
I guess I would just approach the room like, I don't get what people want Trump to stop doing. And every time I ask that, they're always like, well, I would like him just to abide by the court orders. But you hear some of these courts. I mean, guys, some of these judges are literally putting injunctions on him, and their whole, I mean, literally, guys, this isn't like I'm making this up. The judge's injunction says it's likely unconstitutional. So they don't even know that's they're like, it's likely unconstitutional, and they're just tying it up in the courts, making it have to go through this shit because they don't like what's happening because he's exposing these fucking slush funds that these politicians have been using forever and ever and ever. There was the one video in Congress. I mean, it was a
Hey,
while
what's a slush fund?
where they have these funds that go. Well, that's what I was about to explain. They have these funds that go that get they make these payouts to all these people, and they'll say they're using this. Like, there's one that came out in Congress where the one dude was talking, and he's going over these papers, and he's like, "Yo, y'all were spending $10,000 per cable cord. It was like this cable cord, right? It was some type of cord that had to be powered up for something." And the congressman goes, on Amazon right now, this cord goes for $120. It was one of those. It's a fancy cord, right? It's not just like a regular ass fucking Ethernet cable or whatever, right? Or USB cable. It was some type of cable that connected stuff. He's like, you can get them on Amazon for $120,
What stuff?
and
Is it like a nuclear plant, or
no,
is it like
no, no. Here,
what stuff?
listen. No, again, we can go back. I can go find it. Whatever, whatever. The point is that the guy goes on Amazon. These cables are going for $120, and y'all ordered. They ordered, like, I think it was like 500 of them, and in the bill they allocated $10,000 per cable. So 10,000 per cable for 500 cables, and the guy's like, you can get them on Amazon for $120. Why are y'all spending $10,000 per
So
cable? Where, and you know they're
hey,
still
can you
getting it
drop
for
that link?
120. Where's the rest of the money going?
Can you drop that link? Because you're talking about gauge, actually, was what you're talking about. And who knows if the congressman or whoever it is understands gauge or the quality of the material that makes the cord or makes up the gauge of the actual cord. And when he talks about Amazon versus something that supplies something way more important, when it may be the transfer of data between a source and let's say firing
It
mechanism.
was like setting up a new federal office building, and for every office that was in that
Well,
building,
just no, no,
they needed a
just drop the
core.
link. So what
Okay,
we
I'll
do in
go have
here,
to find it. I mean, this isn't even like
I
something
mean,
that
yeah,
happened
no,
like.
but that's what we do. So one exercise we
Okay,
do in
okay,
on
okay,
here
but
is that you find a link and you drop it in the chat.
okay,
So you
all
don't
right.
just come up with some like random ideology. Let's drop it in the chat.
Okay,
That's
Jay,
I'm saying.
Jay. The point of what I'm saying
No, so
is
wait,
that
wait, wait, wait,
that.
wait, wait.
Oh
We're not
my
gonna
God,
skip.
Jay, come
Oh,
on,
oh
don't
my
do
God,
this,
no,
Jay,
no,
bro.
no.
You're
I
gonna
am
halt
gonna
the conversation, Jay.
no. I am holding the conversation because I don't think anybody's actually held you to what you said.
The
And
point of what I'm saying
what
is
the
that
point of what you're saying is
so
that you're gonna drop what you just said in the chat. That piece, drop it in the chat because it
okay.
doesn't
Well,
sound believable.
okay. Well,
I'm
I'll
just
go.
letting you know I don't
When I
believe it.
get a second, I'll go
You
find
have a
it.
second right now. There's nothing else to
Yo,
do
Jay,
but
what are
drop
you doing
that
right
link in
now?
the chat.
If I talk to you the way you're talking to me, and I told you to go do something, would you be like, yeah, no
Yes,
problem,
actually,
no
everyone
problem,
who
Mike. I'll get
actually
right on
makes
that,
a
Mike.
claim, actually, everyone who makes a claim in this room and they want to back it up, they drop the link in the chat.
Okay,
That is actually the practice
yeah, I'll get
of
to it.
debate the news,
Let me
which
finish
is a
my point
part
here.
of debate the news because you
Okay.
have to back up what you're saying with facts. Jonathan,
Wow, bro.
who is the top left, backs everything he says up with facts, and he makes sure that everyone else from the top left down does the same. So I'm telling you, I want to see what you're saying in the chat because I don't believe it. It doesn't make
So okay,
sense.
so you don't believe it? That's fine.
No,
So
I
if
mean
you,
because here's the thing.
all right,
It's
bro,
an
what are you
expertise
doing,
of
bro?
mine.
Like
I
I was like
understand. Notice
literally
how I
like
said
I was in the
gay.
middle of a
You were
point and you
in the.
just
I was in
jumped
the
in
middle of a
here.
point. I was in a more
Source,
flow. Yeah,
source, give
source.
me
Yeah,
source.
source. This is debate the news where we
So
debate
are you saying that they don't
facts.
do this kind of stuff?
I'm saying I don't believe what you're saying.
So what
So
I'm telling you is
drop
that
the
like it
link.
was like, okay, dude, I told you when I fucking get done talking, I'll go fucking find you a fucking source here.
You're
Now,
done
while I'm
talking
Yeah,
talking,
until.
but you don't have to speak like that. It's a conversation.
Right, yeah, you're
It's a
done talking
conversation.
until it's a conversation.
he
Like I'm
interrupted
just
me to stop my point, bro. And
Yeah,
all you're
but you
what's
interrupt everybody.
your point is
who have I
mute
interrupted?
because
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Who do I interrupt?
you've interrupted
You,
everybody talking
Name
except
who? Whoa,
every
whoa!
Sharpen.
person.
Raise your hand. What? Whoa, whoa! Really?
Yes,
No, I
you
do not. I
interrupted
wait my
sweet.
turn and
You
I
Look,
actually
interject.
okay, let's see
no
you wait
you
your turn now.
he hasn't. You interrupted sweet. You actually interrupted Laura until you interrupted who else was talking. It was at least a third person
Every
talking.
single
Yeah, you've
sentence,
interrupted
every single
everybody.
sentence that Laura said, Mike, you dropped in. You almost try to like fill in her last word of every sentence. You couldn't even wait one fucking second for her to finish talking, and everyone else. You've been talking for 4 hours, bro. Maybe have like a glass of water.
Like I
Have a
said, like when
conversation.
you're right, like share. I said gauge, and you didn't understand what I was saying, which is how I know you didn't understand what you were talking about. Drop the link, man. That's all you got to do. You got time right now. All
It's a
you have
fact
time to
check
do,
room.
you have time to unmute, or you have time to find the link because you said you already know what you're talking about. So it shouldn't take a second to go to Google, get your Google source, type in your search, find it, drop the link. I'll watch it while you keep talking.
Yeah, and it's not a great listener's experience or user's experience when only one person is dominating the conversation for 4 fucking hours. It's weird. And then start cursing at Jay and talking all weird, and Jay's always so calm and he's just trying to have a conversation.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Okay.
Sherelle, hey, let's talk for a second. How you doing? I think Mike is searching, and I respect that.
I'm on top of the world, Jay.
You know what? No, I am too, but I'm sitting down.
Doesn't mean we're not on top. That's what he said.
Actually,
That's
I think that's what she said.
that's what she said. I messed up a. How are you gonna mess up a corny joke? I messed up a corny joke.
You really did.
Gosh,
That's because that's your toxic femininity kicking in. I learned that from Don Juan. Toxic masculinity and toxic femininity.
guilty. I bet there
Hey,
were so many other people who wanted to speak, but
I
it's
thought there were
just been
two.
dominated by one
Hey,
person.
is Clubhouse still open?
Yes.
Hey, Clubhouse, is there anything you guys want to jump in and say while you have time?
Oh, so
So, Simon said on Clubhouse, is it ever okay for government to circumvent, I'll make sure I get this right, circumvent process?
Yeah, that was my question. Yeah. So even if you disagree with the legal and the judges' rulings, is it right that you can just go, well, don't agree with that? I'm going to ignore it as a government. Because if everybody did that, you'd have no legal right, you'd have no legal protection.
I'm going to agree with
Right,
you with
I
the no
agree.
legal protection and say, no, I don't think it's okay to circumvent it.
Right. Yeah, because we have checks and balances for a reason, right? So the issue here that I'm seeing is that the current administration that we have, they've and I've dropped an article in the chat as well for people to read. But Elon Musk and Donald Trump both had businesses that were being investigated. And both of those businesses that were being investigated were being investigated by government administrations with attorney generals that were all fired during for the investigation. I mean, while they were investigating Donald Trump's like Trump University, and then all they were investigating Tesla for violations and a number of different traffic violations and all types of issues that occurred with, I believe it was Starlink was being investigated as well. Consumer Protection Bureau was decimated because of it. The same bureau that was investigating Elon Musk's Tesla. So that's an issue, right? It's not even just about, hey, look, are we just defying orders? Or if another government agency, if like the legislative branch is checking the executive branch, or the judicial branch is checking the executive branch, as we see now. And while doing that check and the normal check, which they're supposed to do, we're having we're in the verge of a constitutional crisis. But it's even worse because we have fraud going on. And while being investigation for fraud, you're covering it up by removing people who are doing running the investigation, and that should not be the case.
any responses? No articles in the chat, Jay.
Give him time. Give him time. He's still looking.
Awesome.
Oh, wait, there's something posted.
Okay, so something's posted. I'll go ahead and read it here. Here's what the guy says. A former Department of Defense insider, Steve
Oh
Simoni,
my
says
God, we
it's.
can read.
Wow. Wow. A former Department of Defense insider, Steve Simoni, says it's no surprise Doge has set its sights on the Pentagon for its next bout of uncovering waste, fraud, and abuse. It's actually sending shockwaves through the department right now, the Allen Control Systems CEO told Fox Business. When I was at the Department of Defense, we were spending $10,000 on HDMI cables that were ruggedized when we could have purchased them for $20 or $30 at Best Buy. We need to go more efficient with our spending. And what I'm saying to you is that they would allocate this money. So imagine they would open up a new office, and every office in that building, let's say there's 50 offices, every office would need a desk chair, right? Obviously, you're not going to open up 50 offices and have a bunch of government employees and not give them a desk or a desk chair. So the desk chair, you could buy them wholesale from Office Depot and get them for $20 a chair. They would allocate like $7,000 a chair, but they would still get them for $50 a chair, and all that other money would go to waste. They would still get those HDMI cables for 20, 30, $100, but they were allocating $10,000 per cable and still only using $100 to buy the cable. So the rest of that money, the other $9,900, would go to wherever it went. And remember, this was $9,900 per cable. So if they had another office that opened up with 100 offices, they'd need 100 HDMI cables. They would go ahead and allocate $10,000 for every one of those HDMI cables they would buy. Now go ahead and do 10,000 times 100. But really, they would get those cables for $100 a cable. So they'd buy 100 cables for $100, and there's all that money left over that would be used to either pay off people, the lobbyists, the GMOs, the other people. So now I would like you guys to respond to what I said, since you guys needed to go and fact check me. So that's what happens in all these slush funds. They allocate more money for minuscule things that pile up. People don't understand how many they need, right? The desks, the computer screens, the fucking staplers. They need fucking 500 staplers. Well, you know what? Instead of, we know we can get those staplers for $10, but let's just say we're paying $1,000 per stapler. So all the rest of that money, which adds up, adds up, adds up. Now all of a sudden they got 30, 40, $50 million that is unaccounted for, but it got
Okay,
approved
let's
by
go with your same
Congress.
article, man. Simon, a former Navy nuclear engineer, blah 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 blah. China currently dominates the market with this drone manufacturing because it's where it's actually leading to producing around 90% of all devices. So now what do we do since China is producing 90% of what you're alluding to and what these cables go towards? Now we're back to square one of
We make sure that
we're
we don't
taking
get
them.
them from China.
Now we have to make sure we get from the producer of 90% of this. So now it takes
Hold on.
us
You
12
you
to wait,
attacked me
wait, wait,
for the
wait. No,
ten
no, you hold
thousand
on
for.
because you just talked,
Well,
right?
you're not even
You just
addressed the
talked.
cable thing. This whole thing started over the
I just
fucking
said
cable thing.
he what he was alluding to. I kept reading the same article that you posted. I kept reading.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you
fine.
stopped where you stopped. I kept reading. That's fine. Is that fine? Are you sure? Because you keep trying to stop me because you don't want me to make my point.
I read the
So
whole
here we
article too.
go.
Can you please,
So
before we move
and
on to your
oh,
point, can you
hey, with
address
the
how you
Joker and
tried to
Batman,
debunk my earlier point?
away we go. So now here we go. Now we cut out China. Now we only have 10% of the manufacturing. You're trying to say we want to bring that manufacturing to the United States, but remember, you're the one that said we have to wait 14 months to get that here, which
That's not what
means
it
in
says, Jay.
drone. No, you said we have
No,
to
that's
wait
not what the
14
article
months
says.
to.
It doesn't say 90% of the manufacturing. It says we
It
import
does. Hold
90%
up.
of the
It doesn't.
product.
You want me to screenshot and make it my PTR? Because I can definitely make it my PTR. Do you want me to do that? Keep reading. China currently dominates the market with the drone manufacturer producing around 90% of all devices. Do you want me to keep going? Simon identified it as the primary issue of our time, adding that what American consumers once thought of as toys has since become weapons of war. Do you want me to screenshot
Jay,
it
again,
and
dude,
PTR?
again. I'm
Can I
the.
continue? Because you're interrupting me. You're
Wow,
not letting
bro.
me land. I'll let you know that.
Yo,
Wow.
yo.
Oh my God.
All right,
Wow.
bro.
What are you talking
All right.
about?
How are you going to
Okay.
say
Thank
wow
you.
when you're interrupting
This whole thing
someone?
started because he disputed the whole cable thing, and you haven't even addressed it.
No, I
Talk
did. I
one at a
did. I
time.
addressed it and said in your same article, and I continued.
How is it addressing it?
I
You're like,
said
yeah, I'll address
your
it, but in your same
article
article, it also
is
said.
talking about, and I looked at the big scope of what your article is talking about. And so I'm continuing and addressing what your article is talking about. You're just mad that I'm just pointing out the flaws in what you're saying. That's all. So as I continue for like the fourth or fifth time, who knows? I'm not keeping count. Well, like I said, let's cut out China from what we're trying to do. And now we have where we need to manufacture this in the United States, which is just the last 10%. We're not saying the last 10% is even manufactured in the United States. But now that we're talking about the 10%, because we're trying to cut out China, because you're saying if we're going to keep China, we need to go with the tax, which is, or the tariff, which is 254% as of now, right? And we expect the United States to do that. But here's what happens: we now make the United States vulnerable on the defensive side because our
Bro,
largest spending, bruh, is in our defense. We spend the most money out of the entire world in our defense because we have the largest debt, because we don't have as much manufacturing, because we have a small population compared to the amount of land that we actually occupy. Our defense is important. It is imperative that we keep our defense on the up and up. If we don't, we would be the Ukraine. If we don't, we would be the next country, especially how the world looks at us right now, as far as, man, their leaders are asshole. Everyone doesn't like them. So if they're invaded, man, they had it coming to them. So the number one thing we need to do right now is keep our country defended at all costs. Nothing else matters more than our defense spending because it allows the American way around the board. It allows me and you to actually discuss me on opposing sides. It allows Democrats and Republicans. It allows every extreme faction that we have to actually be because the defense of the country is here. And what you're saying is that we should cut out everything that we get from our cheapest manufacturing, even though we might piece it together here, cut them out and figure out how we're going to do this. We would cripple ourselves. And this is what I mean by I don't think you understand the scope of the big picture. Because the big picture is that we have to look at the profit and loss. We have to look at the scope of things. We have to look at the social economic climate. We actually have to look at the like because there's more than just the Democrat Republican like actual politics because politics is not what we actually are fed in the United States. Politics is actually how we interact with each other, let's say neighborhood, regionally, and globally. That is politics. And that's actually a part of business. That's called networking. And networking actually has politics included in it. And it has nothing to do with if you're a Republican or Democrat. And you're skipping all these stages and just saying, this is just how it should be. And that's not how it works. But you can go ahead and respond. Go
okay,
respond on how we're
great.
going to cripple our country.
See, I don't, Jay. Again, honestly, I'm not even sure. I don't think anyone on the stage will be able to explain what you said right there, buddy. And I like your path here, but I feel like you're just trying to like want to disagree with me because you think it's kind of like, hey, we shouldn't agree with this guy. And I actually agree with a lot of the stuff you've said this whole time. I don't really know how you're disagreeing with what I'm saying. Now, again, going back to this article, and remember, I was trying to make this point a while ago, and you stopped me in my tracks, saying, "Prove this is right." And what this guy, literally the article, he said, it's a former guy. He goes, when I was there, they were spending 10,000 on the HDMI cables that were only like $20 or $30 at Best Buy. Now I said 10,000 when they can get them for 100 on Amazon, but the point still remains. Now the next sentence says, we need to get more efficient with our spending because there's a massive threat of drones that are proliferating on the battlefield right now. So he immediately moved from pointing out something saying that they're spending 10,000 on HDMI cables that they could really only get for $30. But what's being lost there is where's the rest of that money going? Because you know that they're still getting those cables for $30. It's not like they're actually buying those cables for 10,000. They're really still buying them for 30. So we
How
need to
long are the
figure.
cables?
Bro, are we kidding right now? Are we kidding right now?
No, I'm not. I'm not
Can we
kidding
just have a
because
conversation? Is this
no,
a
I'm
joke?
having a conversation because we're talking about the
Holy
media and how they
fucking
leave out
shit, bro.
information. So here's the thing.
You no no let me
You
finish, please. I didn't jump
here's a
in
piece
on you.
that you missed. Here's a piece
No,
that I guess
you went
I
from
was
these
in the
HDMI
Navy.
cables
Hold
and
on,
you immediately
real
went to
quick,
the whole drone thing.
real quick. One little piece that you should know.
Good
I was in the
night, bro.
Navy. I was a machinist mate, nuclear. So you're reading from somebody who's talking about something that I know.
Okay.
Okay. So before
So
you go any further, like I said, how long are the cables? What are the gauge of the
okay.
cables? Ruggedized, which was in quotation marks, actually means something. I don't think you even know what that means. How long were the cables? So now you're actually speaking to me like you're speaking to
How
something I
long does
know
the cable have to be
directly,
for it to cost $10,000, Jay?
man, because you can actually order in bulk and you can
No,
order
no,
ten
no, no, no,
thousand
no, no. A
dollars.
single cable. What? How long is a cable that
How
costs
long
ten
is the
thousand,
single
Jay?
cable? How long is a single cable?
No,
Is it the length of a
they can be
football
100
field?
feet, 500 feet, 50 feet, 2,000 feet. I'm asking you, how long has it got to be for it to be $10,000?
I mean, how long are the cables?
I just said it could be a ten.
I'm
It could
just
be.
letting you
You
know
you
that
tell me. You
that
said you worked
article
in this,
that you
bro.
read is that article you read is giving you smoke and mirrors.
It says they were paying $10,000 for something they can get for 30.
How many can they get to equal
What are
ten
you
thousand
doing right now,
dollars?
bro? Like,
I'm
what are we
telling you
doing?
that what you're reading is smoke and mirrors.
You used the same fucking article to try to prove a point. Also, you went to the
Yes, I
very
did.
next
I'm just
paragraph
telling
to
you.
try to
So,
prove your
but what
point.
the article gave me was actual number. Notice how the article gave me a percentage
Your
when I
article
gave
gave
it,
you a 90% of production of
and
drones.
and it's actually true. The production of pieces, because it's not the complete production of
I never
drones. It's
said it wasn't
production
true.
of the. I
So,
mean, no,
dude,
but
what
the
is
thing is, the part
happening
of the
right now,
article
bro?
that you read
Are you
didn't
being
give
difficult
you.
just to be difficult?
No, you're debating, and I'm
What I'm
telling you
trying to
that you're
tell you is that
missing very
they
important
were
information.
allocating money for things that they could get for cheap, but still saying that they spent that much on it
Yeah,
when
but
they
I'm
know
telling you
damn
that
well they
this,
weren't
I'm letting you
spending that
know
much
part
on
of
it.
that article is a
What
lie
type of
unless you
cable
add in
costs
the
10?
information
Hey Jay,
that
what type of
matters.
HDMI cable costs $10,000?
Nothing, which means they're not paying a small for a small cable for $10,000.
No, they weren't. No, 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 Jay. See, that's what I'm saying.
So you believe in the
That's where
article
our no,
without the
no, stop,
numbers?
pause, time out. That's where our that's where we're off here,
Yes,
because
because I'm a
what I'm
numbers
telling
guy and you're
you
not.
is that they were paying 10,000. Congress
No,
was
you
allocating
telling me
10.
that, but how much were they paying? How much cable were they paying 10,000 for? Was it equal to
Jay,
the
Jay,
short cable on Amazon?
Jay, listen to
Or
me.
or does the Amazon cable after multiple times bought equal up to something around ten
Jay, I
thousand?
don't know what you're doing right now.
I'm
I just
actually
want
no,
you to listen.
I'm asking you for
No,
the
you're
actual.
trying to just want to
What am
disagree.
I
All
trying
you
to
want to
do?
do right now is disagree.
No,
That's
I'm
it.
actually asking for the
Oh my
See, the
God,
thing
bro.
is here it is. What's
You just want to
missing?
disagree, bro. I just want to have a conversation, and you just want to disagree.
No, actually,
Yes,
I'm
you do.
not
You
the
want to
guy
play
in the room that
semantics and
disagrees.
disagree. Yes, bro. Here's what I'm trying to point out.
Oh, okay,
It's like
all right. I'm just
if
telling you
you're
to give the
Jay,
facts, and you
Jay,
missing them.
please, bro, please listen.
The Navy's pretty precise.
If me and you were to get hired for the government, and me and you are on our first day of our job, and we go and let's say we don't even have an office, we have a cubicle, but our cubicles are right next to each other, and some guy walks by and he throws us an HDMI cable. He's like, "Here, bro. Here's your HDMI cable. Plug it into your computer and attach it to your plug it into your monitor and attach it to your computer, your whatever the desktop computer at the bottom." And he throws me one. He throws you one. Now he just throws us HDMI cables. We're government employees. We don't have no fucking. We don't know. We don't have no idea. He's probably got a whole box of these HDMI cables that he's throwing out to all these employees. We take our HDMI cables, we plug it into our monitor, and we plug it into our computer. We know that those HDMI cables were probably about 30, $50. But what I am telling you is on the spreadsheet when the Congress were to allocate all of this money, the $300 million to set up the new office, they allocated $10,000 for those single HDMI cables. And you're like, well, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't buy $10,000. Yes, They did. They would allocate that much money for a $50 fucking cable and then use $10,000 worth of taxpayer dollars to buy a $50 cable. And the rest of that money would get washed into this fund that they would do whatever the fuck they wanted to do with, and we would have no idea. They did it with the office chairs, the desks, every cable, every monitor, every mouse, every single thing that there was. They were overspending. They were buying shit. They were like, "Oh, we had to pay $10,000 for all of these cables. That's a lot of money." But in reality,
Who's
they were
they?
getting them for
Who's
50
they?
bucks. That's
Who's
what's
they?
happening.
Who's they?
Well, Congress would allocate it. Whoever was in charge of that office would go ahead and write the report up, and then they'd have all this money that they would just hide into a slush fund, and they'd probably be giving it to these GMOs, these lobbyists, the people that were really calling all these shots. Actually, to be quite honest with you, the motherfuckers that went to Trump and said, "Hey, dude, you better fucking chill out on these tariffs. You're fucking up the stock market." And Trump was like, "All right, I'll lower them to 10." And look what happened with the stock market. It went right back up, and they got all their fucking money back. Because when he said, "I'm going to put on all these big tariffs," the stock market crashed and they lost all of their money. And they're like, "Yo, bro, chill the fuck out." And he's like, "Well, all right, I'll do this." And they won. They got all their money back in that one day because even though regular citizens were buying stocks, those motherfuckers were buying tens of thousands of shares, and they got all their money back because the tariffs are really hurting the billionaires. That's what the tariffs are doing. Wake up, people. Wake up.
So let me ask you this: a Navy nuclear engineer, what would he use an HDMI cable for? In respect, a $30
Say that
HDMI
again. Sorry, I
cable.
lost you for a second. Say that again.
So HDMI cable for $30 would be 25 feet. What would which doesn't really matter. What would a Navy nuclear engineer use an HDMI cable for?
I don't know, Jay. What?
Nothing, because he doesn't touch HDMI cables.
So then why'd you ask me that?
Because I know you don't understand what like people actually know about what they do. Because nuclear engineers don't worry about HDMI cables.
So then
They
why
don't
would
look
you
at the
ask me that? It's something
specifics,
irrelevant. I know what an
logistics.
HDMI cable does.
Yeah, exactly right. Nuclear engineers don't give a crap about what actually supports the core.
And they actually do, though, respectfully.
No, 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 no. Where are you've been you deal with nuclear engineers or nuclear cores or
Who cares? It's
I just
irrelevant
happen
right
to
now.
do it. I,
But
I just I
that's
just
not the
happen to
point.
deal with Google, and you asked a question, so I asked as
yeah,
soon as
no,
you
so yeah,
asked,
so
and it
I'm talking about
says they
people who
actually.
actually have jobs that do it because I'm talking about people who actually have jobs because that was when I actually left the Navy. That was one of my optional jobs that I had, but I didn't take because my family said we didn't want to move to that location. We wanted to be somewhere else, which is the reason why I didn't work at a nuclear plant. So
Thank you
everyone
for your
who actually
service.
okay, appreciate it. So the thing is that everyone who has a job, they have their job. Logistics, the supply person is the person that actually cares about the price of things. Everyone else just does their job. They do what's in front of them. They understand their scope of things and they manage their scope of things. They actually don't really care about what it costs. The person that cares about what it costs is the top person and the people in shipping or logistics because they're the ones who actually deal with the budget. You're saying that someone who's a nuclear engineer who and the thing is the only piece that is missing is the amounts on both ends. And the media loves to mix up the amounts on both ends or not give you the amounts on both ends. Because if you really believe that the government was paying $10,000 for a $30 cord, then I mean, hey, then that's what you believe. But nah, I haven't seen it, and I've
The
seen
dude who
budgets.
worked there said it. If you just don't want to believe what the dude
The
said it.
nuclear engineer, which is an officer, right? An officer. We're not talking about enlisted. We're talking about officer. We're not talking about somebody who's in it. We're talking about somebody who just oversees the people who are in it. That we're talking about the person that has to understand the decimals when it comes to how things move and interact. Whenever rods are removed, or not going to go into all that. Anyways, we're talking about the person who has to deal with things on a different level, and you're saying that he is very specific on an HDMI, a 25 to 30 inch HDMI cable, and he sees that whatever the installation is pays 10,000 per 30-foot cable, and you believe that that actually happened. That's embezzlement. Somebody embezzled.
That's what we're saying, bro.
What
Yeah,
he's
but that
saying the
That's
whole
literally what I'm
time,
trying to
bro.
tell you.
yeah, but the thing is, so
Like
here's the
that's
thing.
literally what I'm trying to tell you.
So, but
The
but they've
government is
never hold.
embezzling
But
tax
they
dollars.
no. So here's the thing, though. The government would have caught that because I've been in situations where
What?
the government caught spending. So what you're saying is the government didn't catch spending around the most
Yes.
important. Okay, well, you know
And that
what?
and
If
what
that's the
Trump
case,
and what Trump and Elon's doing is calling it out.
but the
And
thing is
look,
that
let me
Trump
tell
and
you
Elon,
something. When the
the
fat gets
Trump
trimmed,
and
the pigs
Elon
start to
never caught
squeal.
that though. They never caught that. The
When the
fact they
fat
never
gets
touched the
trimmed, the
defense
pigs
budget.
start to squeal.
They never touched the defense budget.
What do you mean?
You'd
They
have
went
thought there's more
to
abuse in the defence budget than anything else. You'd have thought there's more abuse there than anywhere else.
Yes, but where have they touched? So they say it's abuse because they say it's abuse everywhere,
Yeah, no,
but they haven't touched
Jay,
the
I don't
defense
know what you're
budget.
doing right now, bro.
Jay,
I'm
I
waiting.
think you trolling us now, bro.
No, 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 no. So here's the thing,
I
right?
don't know
So
what I
because
don't even know
I
what you're
paid
arguing
attention, I've
anymore.
actually paid attention to what Elon said he's found. Well, one, I think Twitter just feeds you what Elon says because I never follow Elon and I just started seeing Elon stuff a while ago. But in these findings, right? There's the findings, and then there are people who say, hey, you know what? Some of this has already been known, which some of it, you find out some of it has already been known. And then you go to the defense budget. And the defense budget, I understand the cycle of defense budget because they feel like if you don't spend it, you lose it. And so that's actually part of the defense budget or different sections. It doesn't even matter. You can drill it down to the lowest piece. That, hey, man, if we don't figure out where we're supposed to spend it, we lose it. Because next time around, they won't give us the same amount of money. That is a piece of
That's what we're
defense.
saying, Jay.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing as saying that they
No,
spend
that if you don't
$10,000
spend
per
it, you lose it.
$30
The
cord.
Congress shouldn't be allocating funds that they know either won't be spent or either have to be spent on nonsense. And again, this guy was talking about something because, like I said, there's also a video of the dude in Congress. I don't fucking feel like
So,
finding it. I feel like I've
so
already
you
proved my point.
no, so you found an article, but that's an article.
I'm
So
not playing your fucking game. So the dude
I'm not
says
playing the game. I don't
he's a
play
former
games.
defense guy. Look, I've already proved my point. He
He's
was a
a
former
he's a
defense guy, and
nuclear
the Congress one,
engineer.
you can go look it up for yourself, bro. The Congress guy holds the paper up. He's like, "Why are we spending $10,000 on HDMI cables? Why are we doing this?"
So
And he's
why didn't you
asking
share that
all the
link where
fucking
the
people that
guy
are there,
holds up the
and no
paper
one
that
wants to
says,
answer him.
"Why are we
He's like,
spending
"Why
ten
are we
thousand
doing this?
dollars?"
Why are they spending so much on so much stuff?" And what they were doing is they were just it's like when you have a product. Look, I used to work in a copy machine company. When I ran a warehouse, I delivered shit, toners. You're talking like
Mm-hmm.
big copy machines, like off like lawyer, like the ones you put your face on and Xerox your face and shit, like big ass copy machines. And our markup on toners was 300%. We had a 300% markup, bro. So they were getting the toners for like $20 a pop and charging like fucking crazy, bro. Like $400-500 for a toner to these law firms, bro. Their markup was nuts, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's basically like the law firm was paying $500 for toners, and they had no clue that we were actually getting them for fucking $20, $30. Some of them were knockoff toners. They weren't even Canon or Kyocera toners. We were sending them knockoff toners and charging them fucking $500. And that's what I'm saying. Congress was allocating all of these funds, which are taxpayer dollars, and saying that, oh, well, we had to buy HDMI cables for 10,000 a cable. No, the fuck you didn't. No, you
So all right.
didn't.
So here's my rebuttal. So I know the division of the Navy that I was in wasn't paying $10,000 for HDMI cables. So what part of the Navy was paying $10,000 for HDMI
All right,
cables?
bro. My God, bro. Let's just
No, no,
move
no.
past this.
No.
You know
So
what,
no,
Jay? You got the
I'm being
W. Hey,
serious,
Jay, you got
right?
the
So,
W.
oh my
Let's just
God,
say
bro,
this.
the guy
They're
who
doing
doesn't
this
have
with
any experience in
everything.
everything that he's talking about.
You
I'm
got the
talking from
W,
a guy
bro.
with
They're doing
experience.
this everything. company
I guess I
phones,
actually got what you're
federal
saying right now.
phones, the iPhones they give the federal workers. They're saying that they're going to say that they have to buy them for $5,000 a phone, but they're really getting them for fucking 30. They do it with everything. This money is just disappearing,
So they're
and
buying
that's
retail phones, and because they're not getting
yeah.
them for 30, they're buying them from iPhone, which they're gonna buy them for the same price that
If
they're
you don't
ready
know
to
what I'm
use.
trying to say, Jay, then I
I
don't
know what you're
understand.
trying to say, but the thing is that you're trying to point out like small anomalies, and maybe there is a place where there's a $10,000
No, this
for it.
shit adds up, Jay.
Yeah. Okay. So, and
Well, let's say it's three cables at
I'm
ten
actually
thousand. That's
trying to talk
$30,000
to
for
your
three cables.
side, and
When in
you cut
reality,
me
those three
off
cables would cost you
anyways. So
$90.
that means I'm about to chop everything you say. Okay, now go ahead.
It adds up. If they buy, let's just go three cables, 10,000 for three. Again, don't hold me to these things. This is with everything.
No,
Desk
I'm gonna hold you to
chairs.
everything.
No, oh, fine. You can hold
You
me to
just cut
everything,
me
but you
off when
know
I
what I'm
was
trying
actually
to
trying
say
to
here.
talk to
No,
your side. I'm
I'm
about to
saying you
hold
can
you
hold
to
me. Oh, ten
everything.
thousand dollars. Okay, let's say they paid. Let's say they paid $3,500. Either way, the government wasn't paying $50. Government was using our tax dollars to get these cables from whoever they got the cables from, and they weren't giving that company $10,000. They were that's what I'm trying to make you understand. They were buying the cables for the price that the cables cost. They were just making the other money disappear. So if they bought three cables for 10,000, that's $30,000 for three cables. When in reality, they probably paid 50. Let's just say they paid $50 for those three cables. That's $150 that they only had to use to buy those three cables. But they said they spent 30 grand. Now let's
How
go
did
to
they
a
get?
hundred
Well,
cables.
okay, but can
Now
So
I
let's
ask?
go to a
basically, this is
thousand
traceable.
cables.
I,
This
This is
how,
money is
I,
just disappearing by the
no,
millions.
so
well,
it
no, it
sounds
doesn't
like this
work
is
like that. I mean,
traceable.
it goes into a
What you're
bank account.
saying is a
You
white collar
goddamn
crime.
right. They're finding it right now.
That that it sounds like most likely was already found, and they hadn't acted on it because most of what Doge found was something that was already there. I mean, I've looked at it. Most of what Doge found was already there in sight because it was already mentioned.
Well, they're getting
But
their money
okay,
back. Let's put
okay,
it that way then.
and
Are
they're
labor
getting their
costs not
money back,
overhead?
or they're just going to prosecute somebody because they're not going to get their money back.
How many
Yeah.
federal workers have been fired now? And let's say every one of those federal workers on average got a $60,000 a year salary. All those federal workers now got fired. Now you're saying, well, they weren't fired correctly. You need to bring them back and then
I didn't say
fire them
anything about
correctly.
federal
And
workers.
then
What are you
once they
talking
bring them
about?
back, they're going to have to pay them a fine.
Time
And
out.
guess who pays them the
We're
fine?
on a totally
Tax
different
dollars.
subject. I didn't say anything about how federal. We weren't even talking about workers. What are you talking about? We're talking about materials. How do we get to
Yeah,
workers?
we're talking about materials, not workers. That's a
What the hell are you
separate.
talking about, man?
Well, we're talking about costs in the government. Labor costs is a cost of federal workers.
And
That's
so
labor.
how they go to a method how somebody's fired?
Well, you just
How do we
because you
get there?
mentioned how they're going to get that money back, and I'm telling you they're getting that money back by not paying federal
No,
wage.
they're not going to get that money back. You can't get the money
Bullshit.
back from something that was spent when you prosecute someone. How does that go to someone getting fired?
Well, why are you prosecuting anyone? Wait,
If
who's being
some
prosecuted?
Who's got the money for these
I
cables?
just said
Who's got
it's
the
a
The
white
access to them?
collar
tax dollars.
crime. It's a white collar
Governments don't
crime.
have money, guys. Governments don't sell things. Government only makes money from tax dollars.
So then governments have money from tax dollars.
How do governments don't make money, bro?
So governments don't have money, but they
What
make money
funds
from
the
tax
government, Jay?
dollars.
Jay, what funds the government?
Taxes.
Why are you asking me a question that you've already given an answer
Tax
to?
dollars funds the
Where are we
government,
going
correct?
here? What are you doing right now? Like you
Every
just
single
really just
expense
went
of the
somewhere
government is
else.
from
Like
tax dollars.
you just jumped from one subject to the next subject to another subject in
Yes or
less than
no?
like a
Every
minute.
single expense of the government is tax dollars.
It's the government.
It's tax dollars.
Okay.
Right. So
Hold on.
every
So you have a
expenditure for the
problem with tax
government comes
dollars?
from our tax dollars.
Do you have a problem with tax dollars?
No, what? I have a
Then
problem with how it's. I
what
have a problem
then
with
where are you going
not
with
knowing
this?
how it's used. I have a problem with Chicago and New York saying that their coffers are empty and they can't fix streets or fix street lights and
But
they
the
can't
thing
build
is,
parks for kids. But
crazy
all of a
thing is
sudden, when the
how are you
illegal immigrants
finding out
come,
about these
Chicago's
tax
got
dollars
$90
and how
million
they're
dollars out of
used?
nowhere. I got a
How are
problem
you
with New York
finding out
having
about these
$110
tax
million dollars out
dollars
of
and how
fucking
they're
nowhere.
used? Tell me, Mike. Tell me, Mike. How are you finding out about how these tax dollars are used or not used? Because it's always laid out. This is public information year after year. How is it now that you are really into this? Were you into this 2 years ago, or did you
No, I
just
wasn't.
somehow get really into this?
No, I wasn't.
Because it's all public information.
Well,
It's
I
been
get
public
well.
information.
Well, so because I wasn't into it 2 years ago, I'm not ever allowed to be into it.
I'm just saying, like you're acting like, oh my
All
gosh,
right. Well, I'm into
there's
it
just
now.
so much
I'm
bad
here
stuff
now.
happening
Well, I'm here
now,
now.
and it wasn't happening 2 years
All right.
ago.
Well, I'm here now. It was happening 2 years ago. It's been
It
happening
was
since the
happening.
'60s.
Man, since the 50s, since the 40s, since the
Probably.
30s.
Well, I'm here now.
No, it's not probably. Yes, it has.
Okay,
Yes.
it has been. You're right. So, but I'm here now.
So let's not act like it's brand new. You're
I'm not.
acting brand new.
Okay, it's
So
not
don't
brand
act
new.
brand new and let's at least
That
understand
doesn't.
that historically, money has not been allocated correctly
Okay,
over the
but I'm here
years.
now.
Okay, you're here now, but let's not
Right.
act brand new.
Okay, fine.
But
But I'm here
continue
now. So let's
and
figure out
stop
what it
and
is.
stop switching subjects every 18 seconds.
No, I get it, bro. So it's been happening forever. So when does it stop? And how does it stop? At what point does it stop? At some point,
It doesn't stop with general oversight. Nothing
it
has
doesn't
ever
stop.
stopped with general oversight.
It doesn't.
No, nothing. Not even at your Maybelline job did something stop with general oversight.
So then how's it stop?
It stops with detailed investigations.
And what's happening right now?
It is not detailed investigations.
How is it not detailed investigation?
Doge has not given a detailed investigation since they started their
They're-
job. They go in, they look at numbers, they say, man, this is what you need to do, and they walk away to the next thing. They rush in and rush out, rush in and rush out. You acting like that's not what they do? Because that's what
Bro,
they
they're
do. They
they're
move
they're
really
getting.
fast into one department. They have no idea how that department runs, and they run back out. Then they run into the next department, and then they run back out. They
That's not
are.
true at all.
That is not true.
No, because
What?
because they
So
because they've identified
they
they've
they
identified
understand how
mistakes. I'm telling you right now, they've identified mistakes they've made when they've let go of people that actually were essential,
they
and
only
they had to
identified
identify those mistakes. And
small
what a good
mistakes.
business person does nullifies those mistakes, hires the person back, admits they made a mistake, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
It
So to
costs you
say
more
they're
money
running
to
through
hire
departments,
somebody
if
back
they were
after you
running
fired
through it,
them.
they wouldn't have realized
You
that
know
they
that,
let go
right?
of someone. Hold on, if they were running through it, they wouldn't have realized they let go of
Guess I'll
somebody
hold
that they
on.
needed.
It doesn't
They
cost you
realized they
much to
let
be
go of
wrong.
someone they needed, so they brought them back. That's because
Eh,
they're not just running through it, they're understanding it. You make the mistakes and you correct the mistakes. Oh shit, we actually need that person, bring them back. But these other people we don't need. We can get it done better. And if you listen to the way these people are talking and these engineers that they're bringing on, it's not just Elon Musk, it's all these engineers. And by the way, these
I didn't
engineers
say
aren't even
Elon Musk.
partisan. They don't give a fuck,
I
bro.
said
They
Doge,
just
not Elon Musk, because he's pretty much gone.
all right, cool, bro.
We're talking about 20 to 25 year olds.
All right, yeah. Some of the smartest motherfuckers in our fucking generation, yeah.
Yes, that have
And
no
they're sitting
idea
down
how
there
departments
rewriting the
run.
code of how our government's going to work because right now we're operating off of systems that are obsolete. We're literally operating off of systems that were still around when the gold standard was
Jesus.
there, bro. Think about that.
Yet they have no idea
But you don't have to
how to
be
handle
that
the human
bright
being.
to work out.
No, they're numbers. They're strictly ones and
Hang
zeros.
on, you don't have to be that bright to work out. Okay, so we're going to get rid of some people. Fine, that's redundancies. Yeah, but we've got to work out who's the good people and who's the bad, rather than just wading in and getting rid of a load and then going, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't have got rid of him." So they can't be that bright to work out that that was a very stupid approach. No, you got to do your due diligence as to who should stay and who should go. Well, obviously, they're doing it retrospectively now.
No, I agree. That's why I like the email thing. I mean, guys, think about this for a second, right? Just think about this. For anyone on here who's either a business owner or is an employee and has a boss that they answer to, either way, it applies. So if you're a business owner and you send out an email to all of your employees, hey, give me 5 things you've done last week, and you have an employee that writes you that doesn't write you back or goes on TikTok is like, why the fuck should I fucking give him 5 fucking things on what I did last week? That's not an employee you want. Now, if your boss, now hold
Most
on,
department
I
heads
knew you were
told
gonna
them
jump
not to
in,
write
bro.
him back.
Hey, I knew you were gonna jump in. Calm down. If
But
you were an
you
employee,
already knew that
Yeah, and what
response,
about the government workers who were given 15 minutes to get their shit out on the
right?
curb?
hey,
It
what
was
are
a
you talking
week
That's
about? The
on the
email,
okay.
the
weekend.
email went out on
They're
Friday.
nine to five. They're nine
That's
to
okay,
fivers, and it was sent out
right?
over the weekend. and most department heads in the government said don't respond to him.
Correct. You know, it's funny. I was actually talking to a person on Clubhouse who said they said that they actually it was a person named Coco, really cool ass motherfucker. Coco said, "I'm a government worker," and they sent me that email. And you know what he said? He goes, "I didn't respond to it because I didn't know what I'm supposed to say. Because if I tell them the last 5 things I did, it would include information that I can't send through email. So I went to my superior and I was like, 'What is this?' So the superior got up and went up into to either the whoever they had to answer to in the administration, all the way up to Doge, and then the superior went back to Coco and goes, 'It's fine, answer it.' So then Coco sent the email and wrote the email and sent it back. But what I told Coco, I go, 'Hey Coco, if your initial response was to respond to that email saying, well, I don't know if I should actually answer this because I have classified information. I need to speak to my superior first. That would have been better than just not answering it. That actually would have showed initiative, being like, "Whoa, this is an email that's kind of out of line, guys." They actually, the Trump administration would have appreciated an employee that would do something like that. Now I'll
No, they
finish my
wouldn't have.
question.
That's
Now,
a
Jay, I'll
lie.
finish my question before you
That's a
jump in
lie.
again.
Remember
Like
that. We're
I'm
gonna
saying,
bookmark what you just said because I'm coming right back to that.
Do you think they actually read all those email replies?
what?
Do you think they actually read the responses? So I'm taking it
No,
Yes.
they
this.
did, and they ran all those responses through an
Yeah, I
AI.
mean, I'm taking it this
Just
is
like
thousands of
just like
people.
people
Is it
run it through
thousands of people?
ChatGPT. But bookmark that because we're coming right back
So
to
that
what you
would
said.
be reading
Trump
them.
administration appreciating. Okay, we're gonna come back to that.
Okay, again, the thing I'm saying to you is this: pointing out this, whether you're an employee or an employer, if you're an employee and your boss sends you that email to anyone on this fucking to anyone I know in the whole world who's listening right now, if your boss sends you that email, are you going to be like, yeah, fuck him, I'm not going to respond to that? No, you'd respond to it. And if you're an employer who sends that email and an employee does not respond, is that someone you want to be employed? So I don't understand. Did you see the TikTok videos where the one girl, she's like, yeah, I work for the government. They sent me that email. I I actually it took me about 15 minutes. I told them what I did, and she goes, I actually like talking about myself, so I wrote a little paragraph of what I would hope to accomplish in the next 6 months. She's like, it took me 15 minutes. And then you have other people that are get on TikTok like, who the fuck are they to ask me what I did in the last fucking week? Who the fuck are they? I don't know. They're your fucking boss. Answer the fucking email and shut up. Why does anyone have a problem with that?
I'm sorry, I'm
Hello?
not on TikTok like that, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm probably the wrong person to give that example to or ask
I
if I
mean, but he
saw it.
does have a point in that regard, guys.
Well,
Like,
hold
if
on,
we're
whoa,
just
whoa.
being
So,
cut and clear, hold on. If we're
okay,
being
go
cut
ahead,
and
Don. Go
clear,
ahead,
Bro, if
Don.
my
and
boss sent me an email like that, I'd respond.
hold
Hold on,
on, hold
Mike.
on,
Let
hold on,
Don
hold on,
go.
because
Mike,
I
let
see
Don
agreeing with
go.
you in that regard, bro. Like, if we're being clear just to that point, like to nothing else, to that point, bro, you're gonna comply, and if you don't comply, you're probably gonna have to comply with the consequences. Either way, you're complying
Right.
with something. That's just the facts, bro. That's not arguable.
Okay, so what you normally have when somebody steps in is a third party because that's what Doge looks like to most of the government. Most people are hesitant to actually respond to them. One being an employee who actually has a boss, and they're gonna listen to their uh, immediate superior, or they step above that before they listen to somebody who steps from the outside as what seemingly is a third party because Doge was created, but they still, for the most part, they're a third party. Outside of that, when it actually comes to, how do I say this? Let me make sure I say this the right way because it was the bookmark piece where you said, yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was you saying that the Trump administration would rather somebody respond to them saying that don't want to, I'm not, or whatever the case may be, as far as I don't want to respond to that, or I'm not going to tell you what I've done, and they would appreciate that in that piece in the small history that we have with the Trump administration is opposite of how the Trump administration responds because they've already gotten rid of most of the lawyers and people who actually have protested or actually gone against the policies that they've actually created. The executive orders that they've signed and the people that have responded to try to challenge it have been removed. And you're saying that the Trump administration would appreciate that when their actual goal has been historically to remove the people who challenge
Oh
them.
God.
Oh God, what?
That's not what
This
he
is what I.
said,
Did I
bro.
lie? Did I
Oh my
lie?
God.
How you gonna oh God me? Did I
This
lie?
is what I'm
Tell
telling
me if
you,
I
dude.
lied.
This
Wait,
is the
time
example I
out, Mike.
use.
Yes or no?
Okay.
Did I lie?
Okay. Here's what I'm telling you. The example that I
Here's what I'm
use.
telling you, which is not going to be an answer to your
It's gonna
question.
be
I've
exactly
answered
to what you
yours.
said, bro. It's
Did I
irrelevant if you
lie?
lied or not. Listen to
Did I
me. The
lie? It's
guy.
irrelevant. Don, you heard that right, and you're
Okay,
supporting the
listen.
guy.
The dude, the
No, because
person I was
listen,
talking
listen.
to.
Hold on,
Listen,
Mike.
listen
Hold on,
again,
Mike.
because I want you to listen
Hold on,
again.
Mike.
Okay.
Hold on, because he replied to what you said wrong. What he said was they'd appreciate the fact if you reply in a sense of I'm not sure what this is. What I have is kind of classified. I'm not supposed to be sending this. Let me go talk to my boss. See what's going on. He didn't say reply and say I don't think I should be doing this. Like I
He
think you
went
kind of
beyond the
mixed.
classified, Don. He actually
Nah,
said
you mixed that
classified
with Don.
first,
You didn't hear him,
and then
gang.
said a
I heard it
second
loud and clear,
response
bro.
That's why I
statement.
was gonna say it again.
Yeah, you didn't hear him, bro.
Listen, could the person Coco that I was talking to, they said the email, the person Coco, who's a good employee, right? The person's they're like, I'm a federal employee and I got this email. I didn't recognize the email address. So I went to my supervisor. And the very first thing they did, they went to the supervisor, like, what is this? And the supervisor, the Coco said that it sounded weird. And the person Coco is actually kind of anti-Trump. They said they go like it kind of felt weird, and I went to my supervisor, and they actually went around my supervisor. They go because normally you'd go to your they'd address the supervisor, and the supervisor would send that email out to the person that's under them. And Coco was like, "Whoa, what is this?" So Coco went to their supervisor, and the supervisor double checked and then gave the okay to Coco to answer the email. And what I said to Coco, which obviously Coco did the exact right thing, they went to their supervisor. But what I said to Coco is like, if you would have immediately responded to that email saying, "Hey, let me check with my supervisor first because I don't recognize this address and I don't want to share anything that I'm not supposed to. I'll get back to you." If that person would have even just said that, they probably would. The administration would have been like, "Fuck yeah, that's fine with me." But then they still went to the supervisor, and the person Coco still responded. Once they got the okay from the supervisor, they wrote down 5 things they did and answered the email. What I'm telling you is that a bad employee wouldn't even answer it. And if they don't answer it, I don't want you working for me. Period. That's all I'm saying. The 5 question email thing almost can be like a questionnaire. Hell, did you hear what Elon said? He's like, some of these people don't even look at their emails. And we didn't even get responses back from people because they don't even check their fucking emails. They're just getting a fucking salary from the government. They don't even do anything. They don't even sign into their email.
I wouldn't have responded.
And you would have gotten fired.
That's fine.
Okay.
They would have tried to get rid of like
I'm right. It's
essential
fine.
personnel, and then after that, I would have stayed. Remember what I said I did? They wouldn't have got rid of me.
So, Jay, I think you said that you actually are a business owner. So, if you were to send that email out to people that you employ, and they didn't respond to you, how would you feel?
The thing is that that's not who they're responding to. They would have responded to the person I hired to come in and audit my company.
Oh, I
That's
specifically
what
said if
Doge is.
you sent the email.
Yeah, but you're changing the scope. Doge is an
Oh
auditor.
my god, bro.
No, actually, I'm actually no, I'm not bullshitting you right now. Like that's what Doge is.
All right,
Doge
so
is
you
an
bring in
auditor.
an auditor, and you tell the person, the auditor, because again, this all comes from the top. So if you tell the person to send out an email to all the employees, and then the guy comes back to you, he's like, "Well, uh, out of your 50 employees, 40 of them responded. These 10 didn't even respond." How would you feel about those 10 that didn't respond?
So my last company, I think I worked at least a decade. We were audited 4 times. 2 out of those 4 audits, I didn't respond.
And what happened?
Nothing. They came to me and said, "Man, you didn't respond." I was like, "No, I didn't have time for it." And guess what?
Bro, why are you dancing around the question, bro?
No, that was to
Come
me.
on.
That's the serious. So Doge is an auditor. That's
Right,
what
but he's
those.
asking you like just so it's
No, and
actually a
I just
trick
that was
question
me.
that you just
So
don't want to answer, bro, because it's really like one of them like
no, I
duh,
just
like bro,
said
if you had a
two out
third
of
Look,
party
yeah,
four
well,
come
I don't even
in,
need
times.
Don. I don't even
if
need
you
to
had a
answer
third
Don,
party
that.
come
okay,
in,
I'll
bro,
wait. I'll wait.
and audit your company and send all your employees a mandated email per you, bro, per you, but you
No,
have
not per
someone else to
me.
do it. Yeah, it's per you. You have someone else to do it. It's definitely per you.
Per somebody above me.
Okay, but we're going to say per you though, right? Because you just said it's third party. So we're going to say you had them do this. You didn't do it. You had them do it. They come back and say, hey, X amount of people replied, X amount of didn't. It's clear, bro. Like, don't say, well, I did it before and nothing happened to me. How would you as the owner feel though? You're the employee. Of course, you're going to try to trick bag
So
and swiggle
re-
around the
no,
system,
remember I
but
said I had assets, right? Where I had employees. Like I wasn't saying where I was just like just the low man on the totem pole. I had assets where I had employees.
Oh my god, bro.
I just told you like two out of four I didn't. And I wasn't worried
All right,
about the
cool.
employees underneath me. They didn't like employees underneath. Even when I did respond, employees underneath me didn't respond. I already had my goal set in mind. I already had where I was projected to be. I was already working towards something, and I didn't have time for the audits. And when my boss came and said, "Hey, man, you know," respond, I was like, "Man, I'm already doing this, that, and the third." He was like, "Man, okay, you know what? You're already doing something," and that's where I was headed. You asked me personally, right? You're trying to treat me as if I'm somebody in a different, or I'm somebody else in the scenario, and I'm me, and I'm telling you, like, put it like this: I was feeding my people every other month for records we broke. Like, that's what it was. I'm not BSing you right now. Like, man,
All right,
like
so you answered
somewhere.
the question. You just chose not to do it in email. You made the guy
No,
come
no, I
find
didn't.
you.
I was
You
like,
made
yeah,
the guy
no.
come find you, and he's like, "Hey, why didn't you answer the fucking email?" And
And
you're like,
you're
"Well, this
right.
is why I
Like the
didn't answer."
guy came out on the floor. You're right. He was like, and came
Right.
to
So
my
why didn't you just
office.
answer the fucking
Yeah,
email?
and that because I was like, no, I was like, dude, I don't got time for this, and I
Yeah.
didn't. I mean, think about this. I came from the military. I was dead ass. I don't got time for this. He's like, well, I got a question for you. Blah 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 blah. Do you even know how this like
You're
operates?
just being difficult, bro. You know what I'm trying
No,
to say.
because I was already focused. I'm telling you why. Because I was already focused. And I was like, this guy was paid to do a job that wasn't going to help me in what I was doing.
All right, well, I guess call me a square. If my boss sends me that email, I'm answering it.
Hey,
Call me
when you were on your production line, what was your waste?
what
What
15
was the
years.
waste?
I wasn't on the production line. I oversaw the stuff, but I understand
What
what you're
was your
saying.
waste that on the production line that you
About
oversaw?
the waste of all of the batches
Hmm. Overall waste.
is 25 to 30. Yeah, it's not sure. About 40%. A lot. It was too
My
much.
my waste got down to 0.76.
No, I just ran the bottles and labels. There was another dude that did the formulas. This shit was
So
wild, bro. We're talking like the beauty products, like hair serums. What's the hydrochloric
I worked for Kimberly Clark. Cool,
hyaluronic
cool. I
serum?
worked for Kimberly Clark. I
Dude,
got
they'd have
the
these
waste.
huge batches, bro. They'd be bottling
Cool,
them in
I
like
understand.
2 ounce bottles. Shit
From
was
the batches all the way to the end product, I got the waste on my assets down to 0.76. You never
tight.
even heard of waste, but so you see why I could sit up here and tell somebody, I don't got time for this. That's
Great, great. But when you're sending, but great. But you
no,
have
that makes sense in that
Okay,
regard.
yeah, that's
okay,
fine.
okay.
But when you're sending, yeah, that's fine. But he's tangible and stuff like that. When you're sending emails out to people that work in different states, and you can't go visit them and to see what they're doing, and their stuff is not
you asked
tangible to
me
where there's
personally,
waste.
dog. Hold up, time out, time out. You asked
No,
me
I respect
personally.
your answer, bro.
Robert,
Basically,
no,
you're
listen,
saying
man.
like
I said,
Allen Iverson.
yeah.
Why are we
I told
talking
my
about
Jay
people, I
was
was
too
like,
good. Jay actually was in a
I got what
position where
Jay
he didn't
saying.
answer the email.
Nah, I got what Jay saying.
I
Jay is
mean,
saying
but I ain't
he's
gonna
the
lie
Yeah,
Allen
to you.
Iverson.
Yeah, I
Jay's
He's
like,
played
the
how
my
Allen
dare you
waist
send me
Iverson.
because
that
my
email?
waist was serious. Yeah,
Yeah, how
I
dare you
ran
send me
records.
that?
Yeah, for Kimberly
I'm
Clark.
with you, Jay.
I tell you the company. Just so so you know. All right, but go ahead. My bad. Let me go on mute.
Fine, but if you work in Minnesota and you're a government employee and the email comes from Doge from Washington D.C. and you're in Minnesota and you're like, yeah, fuck you. I know my worth. What are they going to have to fly out to Minnesota and talk to every single person that doesn't answer an email? We're talking about a big operation. I'm not sure what operation you have. We're talking about tens of thousands of employees. Hey, tell me what you did last week. Just tell me what you did last week. What'd you do? That's a super simple email.
Hey Jay, you were talking about Kimberly Clark, about how many employees do they have? Tens of thousands, no?
Right? Yep. And every other year, third party auditor. Uh, yeah. And I
So,
was
so,
okay.
so, do
Now
you guys
I
have
had
about
the
as much as government workers have? What are we
I
doing?
had the best production, and I was the only one that was like, man, f them people. That's the funny part. I know, Mike, keep going, man. I like where you
You're
trying to
just
go.
trying to obfuscate the point by technicalities. You know
No,
what I'm
no, you
trying to
asked
say.
me directly. That's the reason why I was answering
No, you're
directly. You
trying to
just didn't
point out
understand
things
until
to
I said it.
obfuscate the point, bro. Because you did, because you were invaluable to your position in your company. Which, by the way, getting your waste down to less than 1% is fucking insane. I would have given you a raise. I don't care what the fuck you were doing.
Yeah,
Now
but
the
in
waste
fact, I'm gonna
happened.
tell you what. That's what
It was
led me
like
to
the
leave.
shit would, but after the big ass batch was done on the sides of it, right? All this other shit. The labels was put on wrong. It would spill, shit like that. But like, you were a great employee. But you know what I'm trying to point out here, and we spent too much time talking about this. In general, if you're sent an email from your boss, you respond. 90% of the employees understand that. You're part of the 10% that basically, Jay, you basically have carte blanche in a company like yours because they can't replace someone like you because you're that good at your job. And that's great for you. And there need more people like you. But you know what I'm trying to say here. It's a weird thing to not respond to an email from your employer. It's just weird. And it's certainly weird to go on TikTok and say, fuck you. That's really weird. It's all I'm pointing out.
Okay,
Mike,
I'll
are you?
go. I'll ride with that.
I'm just curious, and I'm not coming at you at all. I'm not that girl. Are you saying it's weird in terms of patriotism? Like, are you saying it's weird? Like, I may have missed some because I took a shower, came back to the conversation. But when you say it's weird, I'm just curious what you're defending. Is it? I'm sorry, I have terrible allergies, and I'm smoking, but
Singular. Oh,
I'm
you're smoking and
taking
you
that.
ain't taking
I'm
it yet.
not taking that fucking singular.
You know what? I'm going on mute. I have a better chance with Mike.
Okay, maybe I'll take it. Maybe next week I'll try again. But anyway, Mike, I'm just curious when you say like this is sick. Just because I mean, I don't believe in being an employee. I have worked for myself for 20 years plus, and I'm just curious as to what you and what
So okay, so in your example, you've worked for yourself, but let's say the company that you built, you end up having to hire somebody. You just need a little bit of help, and you got to hire somebody. So you hire somebody, and you send
Mhm.
that person an email. And you're like, "Hey, what did you give me 5 things you did last week?" And that person doesn't respond to you, and maybe even goes on like online on either Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and you see that they made a post saying, "Yo, my fucking boss asked me to fucking give him 5 things I did last week. Can you believe that? Fuck them." And you saw that. Is that somebody you would still employ?
No, I have hired this. So this year I've hired, I don't know, about 21 people, but I've never had hired people on salary. I hire people on W-9. So I have two answers. If it's a person that I have on salary,
Smart, smart.
yeah, if it's a person I have on salary and they disappear for 2 weeks or don't answer an email, I mean they could be gone in like by dinner time. But
Right.
uh for my so I can't really I it's hard for me to answer that because on one side I feel like fuck a job because I never want to have a job, never will have a job. And then on the other hand, it's hard for me to answer as an employer because I'm 1099.
Right. So that's all I'm pointing out here. Like, I've hired and fired people. I've worked for people. Currently, I'm working for somebody. If they sent me an email, I would respond. And if I was employing people and I sent them an email, I would expect them to respond. That's all I'm
Right,
saying.
right. And I'm sorry. I think my question was: is it because of patriotism? Like, is it because they work for the government and like they should have some respect, or just in general they should have some respect and be grateful that they have a fucking job? Is that
Well, I think it's like look, I'm a football player. I play college football and stuff like that. In the first 2 days when the season starts, you kind of go really hard. The coaches don't go hard and do the Oklahoma drills and do all these hitting drills because they want to see people get hurt. They do the hard drills in the beginning is because it weeds out the weak. The people that are weak are going to stop playing football because they don't want to get hit that hard. And the motherfuckers that stay are the ones they can count on. So when new people get there, they kind of just start to weed out the weak. That's what I mentioned with the Coco story. Even responding, saying, hey, I don't know this email, shows that you have an understanding of the fact that you work a government job. You know that you are potentially in a hold of classified information, and you want to double check that. That would actually be a good email. And then I bet if Coco sent that, he would have got a response being like, great response. Go ahead and speak with your supervisor. Like starting that back and forth. To just not answer it is kind of weird to me. That's all I'm talking about here. Running audits of your business, you need to understand when like what's going on here. And it goes back to the Biden thing. Biden said he created all these jobs, created all these jobs, created all these jobs. And after he left office, the jobs reports come out and it was 80% federal jobs. He just hired a bunch of fucking federal workers and gave them just pointless fucking jobs to do nothing just to inflate his job numbers. And now the new administration is coming in and being like, yo, we don't need y'all. We don't need fucking 200 people running a department when we only need really 20 people in the department. We don't need to pay $60,000 a year to the rest of the 150 people. It makes no sense. And Biden was just inflating his job numbers, just giving. Go look it up. It's like 80% federal workers. He just hired a bunch of federal workers for no reason. So what are they? Is every federal job a lifetime appointee? Does every single federal job mean you get to just be a federal worker for a life? And everyone's like, well, they fired him the wrong way. Okay, so now they're going to have to bring him back because of some dickhead court guy. And hey, you can't fire him that way. You got to do it the right way. Okay, bring him back, and they're going to fire him again. And now they're like, well, you're going to bring him back. You're going to have to pay a fine. Well, guess what? So the government, you're going to fine the government for to the federal workers. Who's going to pay the fine? Tax dollars? What are we doing? This is insane. Now you're going to
That's
use tax
actually
dollars to pay
you
a
just made a
fine?
point, Mike. You just made a point because the thing is that's an agreement that was already made when before the people that were fired were actually hired. And so that fine, when they're wrongfully fired and they have to come back and the fine is paid, is placed on the government. And the fact that they were fired should have been reviewed before they were fired by the people who fired them, which comes from the people you're talking about who are those who are temporary employees. And so you made a good analysis, right? When it came to, I mean, I get where you're going when you said like, hey, when it comes to the NFL and or in football, and you have to actually weed out the weak. But the thing is this is not the same thing as weeding out the weak. This is people following the policies that were set before them when they were hired.
It's the way they're going about it, right? I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but no. But what you got now is a situation where you got Marshawn Lynch saying, "I'm just here so I don't get fined," right? And so now you're talking about how people respond, but technically, the temporary piece is Doge, which is equal to the media asking NFL players questions before they go play a game because they're temporary. They're not the job. They're just somebody that they have to answer to in between the job, going to their job. Because at the end of the day, Doge is just asking questions, digging, and they're going to keep moving on. They're going to get in, they're going to get out, they're going to move to the next thing. And what you have is somebody, what you want is somebody that's going to respond because they're going to respond saying, hey, man, I'm just here so I don't get fined. And as long as they respond, you're okay with that. But technically, that has got to be the most inefficient thing I've ever heard. Because tell me the
So,
last.
but you would agree, Jay, they still
Go ahead.
deserve to be fired. You're just upset about the way they were fired.
No,
But the
no.
fact still remains they don't deserve they don't need there's no need for that government job. Now, the
I
way
don't
they go
think
about getting rid of them,
what government job.
whatever.
So the thing
But at the end
is
of the day,
that
we don't need the job.
no, I'm saying I don't agree that they should be fired. If there's going to be an investigation or audit on how things are being done, then the audit needs to be done first before anybody ever goes in saying, I'm auditing to fire people. I'm just auditing. I'm auditing to find the waste. I'm auditing to find the inefficiencies. I'm auditing to find what can be done to make things happen better. Or I'm auditing just to see if the policies are outdated. And then after that, I'm going to come up with my findings and then look them over. Then I'll bring in a third party. Let my third party come in and look over my findings. And then I'll decide what needs to be done. What
Yeah.
happened was, yeah, but that's not what happened. What happened is we came in, we saw a small discrepancy in numbers. You know what we're going to do? We need to fire this percentage, and we'll figure it out after the fact, which is very inefficient, which is why people have to be hired back, which is why there are fines, which is because you have a whole bunch of things that you skipped in the process. And that is not how things happen when you're trying to have a well oiled machine. Then we travel a well-ordered organization, well-ordered business, whatever the case may be. You don't get that from just going in and just let me go ahead and hack off the bottom 20%. What the fuck? Who does
Well, but
that?
Jay, you got to understand this, right? So he goes in there, he gets rid of the DEI. Now we can debate all we want about the DEI shit. It's to the conversation at hand. It's irrelevant. So he gets rid of the DEI stuff. Now, if there's a department where let's just say or let's just use a floor of an office building. There's 100 people on that floor, and 20 of those people are working in DEI. Now he gets rid of DEI. That stands to reason those 20 people don't need to have the job. But all of those 20 people were hired on the stupid probationary shit. So he gets rid of DEI. Now he doesn't
And
need
so
those 20
you're
people.
saying DI is not qualified? So
No,
that's
see
why they're
again. I don't
fired?
want. No, no. That's not. Again, that's why I said we can discuss this later on if we want. But I'm just
A
using
quick
that as a
question
point because
in your analogy.
the point I'm using that he gets rid of something. He gets rid of all DEI programs. Now, if there were people that were hired for DEI, now all of a sudden there's no more DEI programs. They don't need to have a job. So he fires all of them. Now they're like, well, wait a second, you didn't fire them correctly. They're on the probationary shit, blah blah blah. You've got to now rehire them, or there's a standstill on the firing process. But the fact of the matter is, there's still no DEI program. So you can't really hire them back because there's no DEI program because there's nothing for them to do. The people that they fired that they realized it was a nuclear thing or whatever, they actually let go of them. They're like, "Oh shit, we need them." They hired them back. They went back into their job. You can't if there's no need for them to be in the government, then there's not a job for them. So we can argue till we're blue in the face about they weren't fired the correct way. But if you bring them back, they're still going to end up getting fired or let go or whatever because that's just how it works. Hell, even the private sector, right? Some companies will make you know, like, hey, we're not firing you, da da da, because if you get fired, you get to go get unemployment. Whereas if you quit or you resign, you don't get unemployment. The company has to pay on the unemployment shit. So they want to make sure you know this stuff. Now, I don't know how unemployment works in the government, but remember, even Trump said though in February, he's like, "Yo, if you resign and you leave, we'll give you severance till September." Name a company that gives you severance pay till fucking for 8 months. I mean, an 8 month severance pay? That's a pretty goddamn good severance. And if you can't find a new job in the private sector for 8 months while you're still getting paid, that's pretty wild. I feel like an 8 month severance is pretty fucking fair. So all I'm pointing out here is you might not like the way they were fired, but it still stands to reason they don't deserve to have a job in the government. Not because they're not qualified or not because they're not good enough. It's because that job they're doing is an irrelevant job. So the tax dollars don't need to be paying your salary. Sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Remember when Biden got rid of all those workers on the Keystone Pipeline and Biden was like, well, maybe they can learn to code? It's the same shit. Bill Clinton fired 300,000 federal employees. I mean, sorry. Government jobs are not lifetime jobs. Only the Supreme Court's a lifetime appointee. If you get hired by the government, it doesn't mean you get the job for life. Like people get fired all the fucking time.
Tell
I've been
that to the
fired.
Senate.
Well, yeah, yeah, agreed. Agreed. I'll give you that. Local elections are more important than federal ones. We can. I mean, I'm just saying, man. Like, I don't see what Trump is doing that anyone would disagree with. And if you're going to disagree with him, you're like, well, the court said it's not. It's probably against the Constitution, or you can't do it that way. It doesn't mean it shouldn't
Well,
be
how
done.
about this? So one of my businesses, right, actually depends on imports. Um, let's see. Let me go back. Trey, was it last week or the week before? I'm on my third double.
Monday last week.
Monday last week. Okay,
Monday last week. Can you hear me?
okay. So yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Monday last week.
So one of my businesses depends on imports, right? A good chunk of it is on imports from China, and nothing in that, yeah, nothing in the industry of that business is U.S. made. So when I say this, nothing. I'm gonna say this again. Nothing in the industry of that business is U.S. made. I can point out the countries, but none of those countries are United States. All right. Okay. So, and then here comes Trump with tariffs to the point to where he finally gets the 125% tariff. And I already placed an order like a week before. And the company, I talk with the company. I call them and say, "Hey man, hey, how are you doing?" Because we're actually pretty close. Talk to the headquarters. This is how good I'm doing business because this company does business all around the entire nation. And only reason I call them is because they refund me. And I've never had this happen before. They refunded me the money for my order.
So
Wait,
wild. So wild.
wild, right? Like nobody has this happen when it comes to, let's say, wholesale. We're going to say wholesale, right? I was like, man, what's going on? Well, hey, listen, I know we said the ship comes in on blah 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 day, but because of the tariff, we don't know what we're going to do. Ship will pull in, but we don't even know if we're going to take the cargo off the ship. And the ship can sit for this long, but after a certain amount of time, because of scheduling, the ship will be fined if it sits in dock for so long. And if something doesn't change, we're just going to pull the ship out. We're going to roll it around until we can't roll it around anymore, which means we'll probably either decide to pull back in or with the last of what we have left, go back.
Or
You
pay
got a good
or
relationship
pay
with them.
or pay 125%.
Yeah, or pay 125%. Right? What'd you say, Mike? No, what'd you say, Mike? That little quick
You got a
segment.
good relationship with them for them to be that upfront with you.
I mean,
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
yeah,
I didn't mean
That's
to
it is,
fucking
right?
cut you
right.
off.
Like you said, that's crazy.
Yeah, right. But at the same time, we're on the phone. And I was like, man, what am I supposed to do with that? And he's like, I don't know, but I'm not gonna lie to you. We don't know
Well,
what we're gonna do because most companies don't tell you. We don't know what we're gonna do.
can I ask you
And
a question?
go ahead.
Why? When you uh, can you manufacture here?
There's no manufacturing here.
It's not possible.
I mean, it's possible, but the moment it
Right.
happens, put it like this: with the tariff, I think I said in fact that's what it
You
was.
won't pay the
It's
tariff if you
changed now.
manufacture here.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Remember, it's like what, $3? The manufacturing and shipping, and I can still sell the product for $20 per item, right? With the tariffs, I will sell the item. I will sell the product. Well, this is the first tariff. It's not the second tariff because shit is changed. But it's ridiculous.
You'd have to
Uh,
raise it.
yeah, well, no. But here's the thing: with the tariff, the $20 item now becomes a $45, $50 item.
Right.
Okay, so now we're at a 254 tariff.
How do you avoid the tariff?
You
No,
can't. You can't
you
take it off the
can't.
you can't take
Yes,
it off
you
the ship.
can.
No,
Yeah,
you
one.
can't take it off of the ship
Yeah,
unless you pay
like
the
Sheree
tariff.
already knows. Yeah, I talked. I Sheree and our business partners. So,
Yeah, we're
like he said to me, he's like, man, listen, we don't know if we're actually like we have cargo. We don't know if we're gonna take it off because per box they're gonna tariff the box as it comes off the ship. So we don't even know if we're gonna take it off the ship or leave it on the ship. That's a piece I left out because each box would have been
Well, that's a
tariffed.
big piece there.
That is right. And so the thing is
Yeah.
that so now you're getting it because now things change for me because clearly one of my businesses is retail, right? And so now we're talking about $20 turning into 45, 50 when it
If you
is
don't take it off the ship, is it a loss though?
if they don't take it off ship, it's a loss. Yes, it
It's a
is.
loss, right?
Until
yeah,
they
but that
but and
distributor was kind enough to give you a refund. That might not always happen.
yeah,
Or
and there are
allowed you to
plenty of
cancel
business.
it.
Yeah, and the thing is, plenty of businesses might have not have that same option, or the retailer says, here's your refund, and we're not doing business. We're not. We're not taking it. We're not even going to give you the option of deciding.
So,
They leave. Mhm.
so if I'll ask you this, and again, this is very interesting to me because you're the first person I've actually talked to that has firsthand of this. So I'm not trying to catch you, dude. I'm honestly trying to learn from here. So if you manufacture here and don't have to pay the tariff, how much more would it like? How much more would that item cost you? Like if you manufacture overseas and land it here for $5, and you have your charge whatever you charge it for. Now the tariff has made you had to add an extra $10 to that product. So you got to sell it
No,
for
no,
this
no.
much.
It
If
wasn't
you manufacture
No,
here,
no,
twenty to
no,
what?
45. It's not 10,
way
10
more than
bucks. What are
Okay,
you
that.
talking about?
yeah,
No, no.
okay,
We're
fine,
doubling at
fine,
100%.
doubling it. If you manufacture here,
More
what
than
could
double.
you sell it for?
So if it manufactured here, we did the numbers. That would turn into $35 to $40 if it was a $20 item.
If you have to pay the tariffs, it would be a $45 item.
So technically, you're at the same thing, except for the fact here's the piece. That was if it was just an even dollar, because now you're getting funding and funding with the rates that funding are at. Now you have to also include the rates, which is interest, right? And so interest rates are, correct me if I'm wrong, Sheree, because you are definitely the funding master. I would say six, seven, well, no, 6.95 to somewhere around 12 something, right? Percent.
That's the variable in this whole thing no one's talking about. The interest rates is the variable. I agree with
So
you
we're
there.
gonna we're gonna stick me. I like to stick with the lowest denominator, right? So we're
Yeah.
going with 6.95. So 6.95, and we were already at 35, right? We're already definitely at 40%, if not 41, 42%, because you're dealing with the long run of a loan at this point, because that's what it takes. It takes a loan, it takes funding. Funding is a loan. Because now you're at the mercy of what you can get funding for to build this whole. You can construct this thing and actually fill it with everything you need to actually make it go. And then after that, you're at payroll, and now you're at payroll of the people who are either going to
Yeah.
make this thing happen, right, or be the technical. In fact, you're still going to at first need maximum payroll because you're going to need maximum personnel before you actually dial down. Because clearly, China has had maximum payroll and maximum personnel. So we're first going to need to introduce this the same way before we ever decide, man, you know what, we can cut this personnel in half because you can't. Because China didn't, because they had to cheat. Because so now you're at the beginning of the curve of learning how to actually do this in an efficient way. Maybe we can't automate it, maybe we can't, but we have to first start with the personnel to begin the ideal of automation and figuring out what we need to do to cut out some of the personnel. And
And
in that,
right.
you won't survive.
What do you mean you won't survive?
You
Well,
won't.
well,
You
Jay manufacturing that product, that part of his business, manufacturing that would cost him like 50% more. Like almost 50%, well, maybe like 40% more.
The tariffs.
No. If he were to manufacture it here,
Well, what would the tariffs cost him?
I mean, I guess the tariffs.
So now what he's missing, Sheree,
I'm just
is
talking about
the
labor alone. I'm
yeah,
thinking.
no labor, yeah, labor. So
Oh, I see what you're saying, sure. I see
I'm
what
yeah,
you're
sorry.
so what you're
I'm,
missing though
yeah.
is that so it's cool that there's a 254% tariff right now, right? That's temporary. That's not business. That's not really what it's going to be.
No, you're asking.
125% tariff. That's that's not business. That's not what it's going to be. And so it's like, man, we're gonna push them, but this is a muscle job. This is a you know what I'm saying. This is a I'm gonna beat my chest and let you know how strong I am job
Mm-hmm.
until the point to where somebody
It's
finally
a
lets
power
up.
play, yeah.
Yeah, it's a power play. You get
Yeah.
it. It's a power play. And so in this power play, I'm still trying to figure out where I stand in this. So let's say I say, man, you know what? No, in this power play, immediately I'm going to set up manufacturing because that's what it takes to beat this power play.
Mm-hmm.
And then a month later, this power play ends.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm up shit's creek without a paddle.
Yeah. So, I'm so sorry. It's Mike, right, my dear? I don't want
Yep.
to. Okay. I'm sorry.
You say that real good.
Okay. I just go back, pop in and out. So say, so say, no pun. So say Jay manufactured one of his products here. So Jay, remember that company that I showed you compared called His and Hers that's in California?
Have a good day, everyone.
Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Have a
Mm-hmm.
good day. Okay.
Later.
Okay.
I
So
just said I have a manufacturing job to go to that has a tariff on the other app downtown. See,
What? Have a good day,
I have
Trisha.
to
Have
go
a
run
good
my
day.
room downtown.
have a good day.
I
Yeah,
woke
but you
up to
got that
some beautiful
job.
voices, some
Yeah,
beautiful
right?
voices.
Hey, you have a beautiful voice as well. And
You
ride that
too.
tariff out, okay?
I'll see you later, guys.
See
She
you.
All
was
right, see
talking
you
to you,
later.
Don.
See you soon. But
Bye.
yeah, so Jay's product would be, say, a product that he sells now for between $25 and $35. For him to manufacture it, he'd have to sell it at like $225. So, his customer that's used to buying that same product for like between $25 and $35 or maybe up to 50, if he manufactured it here, he'd have to sell it for at least $225 for it to make sense.
What's the competitors looking like?
Same, if same,
Okay.
same. It's across the board. So it's huge. It's huge to have to be able to manufacture here, and I'm not, I'm so down the middle. But I don't know. I just don't see it for a very long time that we could. How could we catch up? You know what I mean? How could we catch up in manufacturing? I have, I have friends in India. One of them, I'm so sorry for sneezing so much. My allergies are so bad, but I have a friend in Egypt. I mean, in India. He makes 95 cents an hour, and if he makes the big quota of the week, he makes $1.25 an hour. Like, how can Americans, how can how can that translate?
Sheree, I wouldn't even think about that. I remember that. I wouldn't even think about him.
Yeah, and the guys. You know two of the guys.
I do. I
You,
do.
you know Brandon. Brandon makes 95 cents an hour, and then 125 if he makes the big weekly his quota. Yep.
Yeah, but it's all relative, right? I mean, what's the cost of living over there, and how is 95? You're talking about 95 cents American or a dollar American. I don't know if that translates
Right.
into instant
Right.
money over there,
What
but surely you guys aren't saying you would rather have people getting paid 95 cents an hour to where you guys are all admitting that that's kind of low, and
But here's the thing: you what you're missing is relative to here. So you
well,
have somebody
right,
making
over
95
here they'd be
cents
doing
an
the same
hour.
job getting paid what they get paid here.
But the thing is now everything that you're talking about that results from that goes up as well.
Well, yeah, there's more overhead, I guess, right?
So now remember, what did I speak
Way
about? I
more
think I spoke
overhead.
about,
And I mean, even if you thought about minimum wage, like that's a big difference between 95 cents an hour and 15 cents
Right.
an hour. And I don't employ anybody for that. The persons that we're talking about that we actually partner with 4 kids from India. I call them kids. Jay and I have partnered with, and we give them a great commission for working with us. We don't absolutely do not charge them. We do not pay them 95 cents an hour. No, we try to get them.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good
we
for you.
try to get them paid at least a couple $100 per deal, and more, as much
right?
as we can.
Good for you guys.
Yeah,
That's
as
good.
much.
So, but here, Mike, imagine this though, and we're fair. You know, we may be an anomaly, but think about this. Now compare that to U.S. minimum wage. One
Mhm.
U.S. minimum wage is $7.25, but who pays $7.25? Nobody. There's already been an adjusted amount of income per person with businesses. The lowest I've seen in my area is about $12 and some change. And that's for the non-skilled job. We're talking non-skilled jobs. So now we have to go to skilled jobs, and factory jobs are skilled jobs. And so we're saying, let's go to manufacturing. Bring manufacturing over here. Bring manufacturing where they do such and such per hour. And that way, we're not dependent on another country. And now it's considered a skilled job. So a skilled job is now above $14 an hour. And now you go to 14 to maybe even $35. That's the range an hour. I'll
Yeah,
say 30, you're right. I would say
that's what
35,
it deserves to be. But
right?
Well, let
35 I
me
would
ask
say
you guys
are
this.
welders.
Let's
35 to
let.
40 welders. Ask
Sorry,
what?
my
Go
bad,
ahead and
Jay. Go
ask.
ahead. Finish. My bad.
No, okay. Okay. So the
No, no,
thing
go ahead. Go ahead.
is,
Go ahead. Go ahead. 35 the hour. You're right here. I like that. Go.
at least.
okay. And so now you have people who are skilled laborers and they do certain type of jobs that have a certain type of tech or level of tech, especially level of expertise or not necessarily the skill set, but they're more precise because that's what you're really paying for. You're paying for the preciseness of the person. At least in as far as I'm concerned, in my experience, and the people that I've elevated, is always the preciseness. Now you're now comparing that to the jobs you bring over. So you might have killed jobs over here, but you're bringing jobs over to shift those people to. But those are cheap jobs in China, and China has already shown that they make quality products at cheap prices. That's just for certain companies. And so now you bring that cheap job and quality product to the United States, but it was like $5 an hour maybe, right? For the in China. Now you bring it over here. Somebody's that precise. It's probably worth about $28.
It's not a cheap job no more.
Is exactly, so now it's not a cheap product. But now we're expecting the United States to still go ahead and back up that not so cheap product because blah 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 blah. We're good. Now we can go ahead and add in anomalies of Nike, Chanel, the things. I mean, all these little luxury products that people have like bought into. Yeah, I mean, look, I saw this piece because I was told to look at it, and the fact that hey, Nikes go from or they're made from $2 to $10 in China, and hey, they're willing to sell those, right? Or these bags and everything else. Put like this, basically the range is $2 to $10. That's what it takes to make a product in China. And then Nikes are sold for $120 in the United States, which means Nike is slapping you with a brand tax. versus anything else. And that doesn't hurt anything but Nike versus anything else in the world. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Q-tips, toothbrushes, toothpaste, soap, socks, t-shirts, underwear, bras. Man, do I need to continue or does it make sense?
No, that's why earlier, Jay, it's a great point. It's why earlier I mentioned the Shark Tank show. And I haven't watched it in a while, but I used to love watching Shark Tank. And that dude, I think his name's Kevin O'Leary or whatever, Mr. Wonderful, whatever. And the people that are pitching the idea, and they're all hell bent on, well, we like to give American jobs and we want to manufacture here. We're all about made in America, made in America. And Kevin O'Leary, he would look at him, and again, this is a while ago, right? It's like when Shark Tank was first getting started. And Kevin O'Leary would look at him and be like, why the fuck you doing that? What are you doing? You can fucking manufacture overseas and land it back here for $3. You can land it back here for $3 fucking. You're gonna just because you wanna say it's made in the USA, and now all of a sudden you have to have your fucking markup go up just to have a profit. You got to sell it for fucking $50. Well, guess what? You manufacture overseas, you land it back here for $3. You can sell it for fucking $30 and make your same profit. And I get it. Like, it makes sense. Like, I understand what you're saying. And that's what Trump is trying to get at. Like, Trump's like, yo, this is why I kind of like how Trump approaches things. And this is what I said earlier. Like, he's shaking shit up. And he's a businessman. And whether we think this country's a business or not, the country operates like a fucking corporation, bro. It just is what it is. And I want a businessman running it. And Trump says this. He's like, yo, I can't compete with overseas manufacturing. He's like, I can't compete. It's always going to be cheaper to manufacture overseas, whether it's in India or China or wherever. I can't compete. So, guess what? If you're going to manufacture overseas and bring it back and sell it to Americans, I'm going to tax the fuck out of you. Not my problem anymore. Figure out a way to manufacture here. Not my problem. People are going to get pissed. People are going to be mad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's understandable. I get it. I understand it. But that's the only way Trump can compete. He cannot compete with the manufacturing wages overseas. He just can't do it. The only way he can do it is to tax you. That's it. And I know it sounds crazy. It just is what it is. It's the only
So
way he can
quick
go about it.
question. Quick question. So like you said, fire the it's about 20%, but I'm just gonna say the inefficient people in the government, right? Go ahead and tax imports to the point to where a bunch of small businesses, because small businesses are in the millions, tens of millions. And so let's say you fail small businesses. So this is what happens. These new small business owners say, man, I need to go back and get a job. Then you got these federal workers, right? Who now also need to go into the private sector and get a job. So now what you have is a bunch of people who need jobs, but they're not a jobs for the people. But you just said Trump was like, man, it's not my problem. So what does
Yeah,
the country do?
you're talking about there's no supply for it. What? Yeah. I mean, look, man, I get it. There's a lot of problems, and he's being a little brash about it. It's kind of wild, but I don't know. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you compare? What do you do? What do you do?
And that was my overall point, is that whether it's Donald Trump or it doesn't it doesn't matter that it's Donald Trump, but you said the words, we can't compete. We can't compete with the prices of that. But then I just feel like we're going to go through this period where things are going to be so uncomfortably expensive for many people, like everyday things like plastic hangers, or you know what I mean, the like
Like
everyday.
the shit we don't even think about, right?
Yeah, it's going to be
Yes.
expensive, and then our salaries going to be going up to supplement that. And I don't think it's going to. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a stretch and we get through it. But
And I
I
tell
feel
you
like
what,
that would be like
Sheree.
25. I feel like that would be like 25 years.
Hey, Sheree.
Yeah.
salaries, and this is in my last well, look, one of the pieces why I left my company,
Mm-hmm.
right? Other than look, I was like, hey, what I'm doing, I want to raise, but
Mm-hmm.
salaries haven't tracked with inflation for the last almost 2 decades. In
No
fact,
way.
right now, salaries haven't even tracked with insurance. Your insurance would go up, but your salary wouldn't even go up to match insurance for
And
the
then
last.
remember we did the math on $15 an hour,
Well,
and the
we did.
yearly is like, I don't know, 30. I was about to say $30. 30 grand. I don't know, 30, $15 an hour. I think it was 30 something grand. Alexa, how much is a person who gets paid a wage of $15 an hour yearly salary?
It's like 31 grand.
Okay, about 31 grand. Oh, she said $50. Alexa, stop. Uh, about 30 grand. Like mm, you can't even rent an apartment in New York City for 30 grand a year. To rent to That's rent. To rent an apartment in New York City,
Yeah, I do agree that minimum wage should cost of living and where you
No,
live.
Alexa was wrong. It's
31 2,
$31,200.
right? 31 2.
yeah.
Yeah, I was what was Alexa
Wow.
talking about
That's
50?
year.
That's
Well,
That's
I
a
was hoping
crazy.
I did that right, right? $15 times $40, 40, 15 times 40, right? 40 hours a week, 15 an hour. And then you get, I think it's 600, and 600 times 52 weeks a year, right?
52.
And think about 15 is just what the people are arguing for a livable wage.
To
But for the
get.
most part,
And then
15.
yeah, and then how do people even put a down payment on a house if they're making that much money? How long does that take? You'll be 55 by the time you
You
make.
don't be a
Right.
$15 an hour worker.
What's that?
You don't be a $15 an hour worker.
But man, most people. So
Good
here's a
point.
crazy thing.
I know that sounds
Uh,
heartless, but like,
No,
you
it's
know what I
not
mean?
hard. No, it's smart.
I mean, yeah, no, it's smart. It's like so
Like if you're making
in the
15 an hour,
ideology,
that
that's
means like
smart.
you're like in 20s, in your 20s, you're kind of just getting started, bang, 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 you're making a little bit of money. But
Right.
if you're like in your 50s making 15 an hour, you made some bad life choices.
Yeah. Sort it out. Sort it out, as the British say. You need to sort it out.
I want to ask you guys this question, Jay and Sheree. I want to ask you guys a question. And Jay, dude, you're good peoples, bro. I really like it. I like having back and forth with you. I think we've had one a while ago, but I really like this. Here's what I'd ask you. Because again, bringing the jobs back to America, right? Now you're paying the minimum wage here. Now there's insurance involved. Are you putting your employees on insurance? Da da da. Like but how many people are you employing? If you were giving, if you were given cuts or benefits to have a certain amount of employees and have a certain amount of people on health insurance, maybe having a 401k in your business where you're matching them. If you were giving cuts and benefits that would offset the tariffs you would get manufacturing overseas, would it be more lucrative? Would that entice you more? Does that make sense?
So when you say cuts and benefits for employ, was that just for
Yeah,
employees?
like
Because
they're giving you certain tax cuts on facility. Let's say you have a warehouse, and they're giving you tax cuts on the warehouse. They're giving you tax cuts on properties. They're giving you tax cuts on stuff because you have 50 employees, and every single one of your employees has a health insurance. They don't have to get their own. Every single one gets the health insurance, and I'll give you a better. I'll give you even more of a break or a benefit or a cut or however it works out. I'll give you even more of it if you have a 401k with all of them and you match your 401k. Because again, a 401k is just a business investing, so they take all your money and just fucking invest in shit. So they're playing the stock market. That means money's going in the stock market.
Yeah.
If could that entice you to bring business back overseas? Because again, right, like health insurance is a big deal, right? None of those people that are manufacturing your stuff in China, you don't know if they have fucking health insurance. It doesn't really bother you. But if you got an employee here, now you're giving them health insurance.
I would have to
If
be
you
in.
if you get
I would have to
compensated
be.
for giving your employees health insurance, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't they
Remember how
entice
it's
you
a
to
I
bring?
spoke about the
twofold.
politics of
There's
things?
a twofold answer because so Jay
I'll
has
let you go
a
first,
couple of
sure.
different businesses. The business that he and I partner on is excuse me, we are commercial mortgage and business purpose loan brokers. That's the business that we partner on. But Jay has a couple separate businesses that has to do with the manufacturing overseas and the tariffs and that. So that those two are separate. But as far as our company, working as brokers, everyone, I only partner with people. Everyone is 1099. I'm not looking to pay anybody's insurance at any time. I do businesses, I work with other
You're like
businesses.
outsourcing all of it.
No, I'm B2B. I work with other businesses.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
No. He had it right, Sheree. It's
You got like
outsourced,
contract. You're
but
hiring independent contractors.
yes,
No,
but the
no, no,
independent
no,
well,
no.
no, but the independent contractors need to establish their own businesses. It's,
Right. That's the
it's
B2B she's talking about.
Yeah, that little
yes,
part.
yes.
Yeah, that little.
That's actually smart, Sheree.
Yeah, and it gives people incentive to work. Either they're gonna work, and sorry to be so harsh, or they're gonna steal from you. Like you get, either they're gonna work really
Or
hard
starve,
and work really
or starve.
diligently, or they're gonna
Or
fuck.
starve, right?
Yeah, and you have to take a chance until you get, you know, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10. Well, how many Jay so far out of employees hired? 2 out of 10. Oh, we lost our Jay.
Wait, what I missed? I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Everything
no,
kind of
no.
cut
I
out for a
said,
second.
out of the whole year, it's been like at least 21 people that I've brought on board, and we only have 4 solid ones. Was that 2 out of 10?
No, I
Two
think we got.
out of
Wait, hold
20
on, hold on.
something.
We
20
have.
something.
Wait, I think we have five now. Five.
Solids.
Five solids. See,
20%.
five solids.
Yeah.
20%. I'm not gonna. Yeah,
A
you're right.
lot.
twenty
It
percent.
takes a lot, but that's a lot to onboard all these people and kind of walk them, train them, coddle them, and then they just drop off the face of the earth. But it's fine. At least you know who's hungry. At least you know. You figure it out.
But and like I think Jay mentioned earlier, we were talking about the part-time employee. I don't know if that was you, Jay, but like even Walmart, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Walmart's notorious for not having full-time employees because that's why when you go to Walmart, there's like 1,000 people working because they're all fucking part-time. Because Walmart part-time employees don't get the same benefits that full-time employees
Of
does. So
course.
Walmart just hires a bunch of motherfucking part-time employees and gets away with not paying them their benefits, and that's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So like this manufacturing shit, I feel like if there was some type of incentive program or enticement to where, hey, bring these manufacturing jobs back, give them all insurance. I get you're having to pay more for your manufacturing, but we'll give you some breaks here and there. We'll give you this here and there. And everyone's like, well, it's tax cuts for the wealthy. Yeah, but they're making jobs. They
Mm-hmm.
deserve the cuts. You
I'll
know what I
tell you
mean?
what. Because of how the current administration runs, they would have to send me a paper, and we have to sign the contract before I believe that. Before I believe any will give you tax cuts because you have this many full time employees. Whatever you get where I'm going.
Yeah,
Whatever the
yeah, yeah.
case may be, yeah, I would have to sign the contract with the current government to believe because of how much things have flip flopped or changed. Because when you sign on to what's going on, you're actually signing on to the executive branch. It's not the it's not the legislative. It's not
Legislative.
judicial. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Right.
so
Yeah.
right, and the executive branch is flip flopping all over the place.
I love how you said flip flopping.
I'm just
I
saying
do kind
it's
of agree with you, Jay, a little bit. The small businesses might get busted up here, but is there any way that you could see some? I know it might like in the short term, business owners are like, man, this is gonna fucking kill me. These fucking tariffs are gonna fucking destroy me. I'm not gonna be able to make it. Is there
I,
Yes.
any way
I've
that
I've
you
already
can
heard
see where
from
like the
plenty.
government could be like, all right, I understand this might hurt you a little bit, but I will give you these type. I will incentivize you this way. I don't know what that. I don't know what this way could
Yeah, they
be.
No,
absolutely
Is
100.
there a way the government could
Yes.
make that happen?
they
Yes.
could, but the
Yes.
government doesn't do that though. They
No,
they
but
just
hmm
in fact the first thing that the government could do to incentivize that was in It's in grants, but the government has decided to cut grants.
Mm-hmm.
So the
But we,
incentives.
yeah, but we do facilitate SBA loans.
Hold on, Shrey. That's
Mhm.
outside
I'm
of
sorry. I'm
what he's
sorry.
talking about is outside of what we do.
Oh,
SBA is definitely, it's government backed, but that's outside of what we
mm-hmm.
do.
Of
Because
grant. Yeah.
yeah, right, yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
we're like, hey, out of all the things the government could possibly do good, without any recourse, what is
Mhm.
there? And what has happened is the government has basically cut off recourse, which has made our job that much richer in our business, right?
Yes.
Um, and so what we have here is where the government has decided we're going to cut off grants, we're going to cut off this, we're going to cut off that, we're gonna we're gonna inflate the private market as far as like potential employees. And then somewhere along the way, because of what we're doing, we're going to also create more potential employees because of all the small business owners that most likely won't be able to hold their businesses and they'll need to return to the private sector as well. And so then now all of a sudden, I think they say there is at least 7 million jobs out there, but all those 7 million jobs aren't at the technical status or at least at the specifics. Anywhere I think I said it was like as far as like how people are more specific, or what did I say? It, but how they
Hmm.
pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, those people, they're gonna fill those top level of jobs fast. That's not the majority of the 7 million jobs. 7 million jobs come down to mostly the handiness jobs. The let me go ahead and pick tangerines, grapes,
Mm.
bananas, tomatoes, soybeans, stuff like that type of jobs.
Like job shortage almost.
Yes, and so this 7 million isn't the tech field jobs. This 7 million comes from the we're trying to kick all the illegal aliens out. Now we need to fill these jobs in so the world can continue operating how it operates, and we're going to use Americans. To me, that piece I appreciate because me,
Hmm.
if I had it that hard and I had nothing else to do, I would go pick grapes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Why
would
wouldn't
definitely
you?
If you got,
right.
yeah,
No, yeah,
yeah.
right.
If you have to, absolutely, you have
If
to.
that's what I had to do, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But that's not that's not the killing field. The killing field is in the middle class.
Hmm.
The middle class
As the
feels
middle
most
class goes, the country goes. Absolutely.
right, and the middle class feels the small business era.
Yeah.
Like small businesses, all for the most part, middle class or upper middle class. Some small businesses are 1%, but for the most part, no, they're middle class. And now
Yeah.
what you're saying is that we're gonna whatever their structure is, without even looking at it, just like they didn't look at government jobs in the different departments. We're not looking at the middle class. We're just going to do what we're going to do and cut the finance area of what it takes to make a middle class or small business run.
Hmm.
We're going to chop into the numbers. In fact, no, we're not going to chop into. We're just going to, hey man, we're here, but we're going to inflate them. So I know you were paying about $50, but what we're gonna by the time it comes back in next time, you're gonna be paying $125 for the same
Hmm.
item.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're gonna need to sell it to your consumer.
Mm.
So now you were paying $50. Now you gotta and you figured out the price to sell it to your consumer. Now you're gonna pay $125, and you still need to figure out the price and sell it to your consumer. And if you can't, man, hey man, you know what? All's fair in love and war. It's the game,
And then you get stuck with inventory, no?
right? You
If
get
people
stuck.
don't, if you don't sell it.
Well, Jay, see, I talked to you for this long, Jay, and then you
Hmm.
go ahead and you say something like that in your last couple sentences, and I'm like, that's exactly my man. You're like, hey, tough fucking shit. I know it sounds fucking hard, and I
Mhm.
get it, but yo, tough fucking shit. Look, in America, if you bust your fucking ass, you don't be a dumbass. Like I always say, just don't be a dick, right? Like it's very simple. You know what I mean? Like you leave the earth better than when you found it. Wherever community you live in, you fucking do good for it. Protect women and children. Fight for those who can't fight for themselves. And you just don't be a dick.
Simple.
And you gotta work your fucking ass off. I
Yeah,
don't care what you do. If you work at McDonald's, be the best goddamn burger flipper they've ever seen.
that's right, Mike.
Bust your fucking ass and you will end up fine. And
Yeah.
if you end up wanting to be one of those people that just works for a company and you work there for 20, 30 years, you're good, and you end up getting a Rolex when you retire, fine. But if
Mm-hmm.
you also want to be one of those guys who wants to own a fucking yacht, fine. Like I own a home. Now I bought my home for 330 grand. Got a loan. Now my home's worth about 600 grand, but I'm not fucking selling because I have a 3.5 locked in interest rate. I'll be goddamn if I get rid of my 3.5 locked in rate. But the point is, I have no problem with my loan. Now I have Penny Mac. It was some random place out of Minnesota who gave my loan, but then Penny Mac bought it up. Now, if I pay them the minimum amount for 30 years, they're going to make $675,000 off of my $330,000 loan. If I make one extra payment, right? One extra payment, which is basically like an extra $400 per month. After I give them an extra, instead of making my minimum, give them just an extra $400 per month. By the end of those 12 months, I would have basically made 13 payments instead of 12 payments.
Yeah.
I will actually only end up paying them $420,000.
Yeah. The pill method. It's called the pill
See what I'm
method.
saying? Like they'll only make 100 grand off me, which again, I'm fine with that. I needed a house for my family. They took the chance on me. They loaned me 330 grand, and believe that I'd pay him back. So I'm cool with them making some money off me. If I go to a loan shark on the street, he's gonna charge me a vig, and I'm gonna have to pay him fucking interest. So they gave me 330 grand. I'm cool with them making some money off me, but they sure as shit shouldn't make 600 grand off of me when they only gave me 300 grand
Yeah.
because
That's
you know what I'm saying?
wild. That's
Because you got to
wild.
understand the system, got to understand how it works, and it works the same way with all jobs. How people are paid, the wages, the minimum wage, the manufacturing, it's all the same. It's a big ass fucking system, and if you understand how to use it, then you use it correctly. You just got to bust your fucking ass and do it. I'm just tired of look, what I'm really tired of is this narrative about how Trump is trying to fuck everyone over. Because when you think about it, and you think about it from a business standpoint, yes, he's not a politician. The politicians don't like him, by the way, which makes me like him even more. So if they're trying to get him out, makes me want to know what he's doing to piss them the fuck off. But the point is, let's take a step back and be like, holy shit, maybe this dude's actually fucking doing shit for us. Maybe he's actually fucking with the fucking rich. Maybe he's really fucking them over. Maybe he is. Like, this shit is crazy. Oh, he's not doing it by the federal courts. Yeah, these judges are actually corrupt. These inspector generals are actually corrupt. These pieces of shit are actually corrupt. Like, we need to start understanding this stuff. He's way ahead of these guys.
The ones he appointed.
What?
So last judicial ruling, and as far as the Supreme Court was, it was to zero.
Yeah.
And yeah, but this is where the president appoints.
But that's the night. Okay, so Jay, so again, right? If you understand this, you got to break this stuff down. Again, this is all politics. Look, Jay. The best way to say it to you, Jay, you're running your business. When you do things in your business and you have contracts or you have negotiations, you kind of have ambiguous wording when you actually are not going to be wrong, but you're not going to put yourself out there to be in the future turned on your fucking ass, right? So look at the 9-0 ruling. They said the U.S. had to facilitate the return. They didn't say they had to bring them back. They say facilitate the return. And that chick Pam Bondi, the attorney general, she goes, well, we offered a plane. They went to the Bukele guy, the El Salvador guy, and they gave them a plane. And what did Bukele said? He goes, yeah, you're not taking them. So they did facilitate a return. The ruling was not bring him back. It was you need to facilitate a return. And that just goes to go with the deportation order. He was an illegal immigrant. They were allowed to deport him. They just weren't supposed to send him to El Salvador. Now, and then someone else brought up earlier in this panel that I didn't get to address because fucking Jonathan, all them were. I mean, they had the right to fucking go at me because I was talking too much and I'm an easy target and I was all game with it. I'm a good dude. But the point was, one guy goes, well, on that same exact plane, they sent 3 people back. Yeah, you know why? Because those 3 people weren't fucking gang members. The reason this dude stayed there is because El Salvador has been wanting to get their fucking hands on him because he did some bad shit and they fucking got their hands on him. Bang. He's scared of rival gang members shit coming at him. Yeah, well, only people that are scared of rival gangs are gang members. Sorry. You're an illegal immigrant. If we bring them back, guess what? They're just going to deport him to fucking Guatemala or Honduras or Mexico. They have the right to deport him. The mistake thing was we sent him to El Salvador. But that's the 9-0 ruling. And the judge in the court was right. Hey, United States, you should facilitate a return. You shouldn't have sent him to El Salvador. You should facilitate a return. And then what do they do? Okay, we'll send a plane. But then the El Salvador guy's like, well, you ain't getting him. He's our citizen. So they technically facilitated a return. That's how this works. And the same with the tariff thing. The tariff thing is all about, like you said, Jay. Jay, you said it perfectly, bro. The power play thing. When you were describing the power play. This is all about power play bullshit. It ain't gonna end up like that. You're right, Jay. You said that too, right? You're like, you know that, right, Jay? It ain't gonna end up. It ain't gonna end up with 245% forever. You would agree.
That's true. That's true. I
Yeah.
agree.
Where do you see it ended up at? Lower than 20.
What was it previously?
What was it, bro? I was just thinking that. That's so fucking funny. I was just fucking thinking that.
I've forgotten. Like
Was it like 45 or something? I want to say
maybe 35,
something
45.
like that. China's hurting though, y'all. Have y'all seen those videos where like the people in the manufacturers? I said I was talking about it earlier, but I don't know if you guys were here earlier. But there's videos coming out of these manufacturing, the people that own these warehouses in China, and no one's working. They showed a dude in this video. I'll find it while I'm on here and I'll post the link. Well, it's that dude. Do y'all know the black conservative perspective? I think his name's Greg Foreman. Greg Foreman, I think it is. Whatever. Black conservative perspective YouTube channel. And the one of the most recent videos is how China they were wrong in China, whatever. So the video is this dude. He has this giant warehouse that they manufacture. Do you guys know what a sewing machine looks like? Just a standard household sewing machine. I've never even seen this before. Standard
Of
house.
course. I know what the factories look like. I've been.
Bro, it was like 400 sewing machines.
Yeah.
It was
I know.
fucking
I know.
nuts.
I've been. Yep, I know.
I'd never seen that before, bro. I did not know it was like that. That was crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I did hear you talking about that earlier, and it is. It's wild. And what's going to happen? What's going to
He's
happen?
like, yo, no one's working, bro. He's like, what the fuck? What are
Yeah.
we doing? The lady was like, I got 10,000 pairs of white pants. I don't know if she's talking about white jeans or whatever, but it was these like, look, I got 3 daughters, right? And they order fucking shit from Shein. This fucking Shein shit, god damn it.
Yeah, but you know.
Ugh, my daughter's got a. She's like, can I order my Shein fucking cart? I was like, what is it? I was like, it's. She's like, it's $200. Like, ugh. So I gotta go look through this thing. Think, yeah, whatever. They need clothes and shit, whatever. But Shein, right? So I'm imagining when they order these Shein things, it's like packages folded down flat, and it's like a pair of pants, whatever. So I imagine it's like that. That's what this lady was talking about in this video. She goes, I got 10,000 pairs of pants. What the fuck? She's like, I got 10,000 of these. Oh, she's like, I'll give them to you for 10 cents.
Yeah, it probably cost her like 3 cents to make it.
Right? Like, what the fuck? Like, what are these people in China supposed to do? These warehouses, they're like, yo, the one guy's like, I'll sell my machinery for scrap. That means like they'll break down the steel and be like, yo, I'll sell it for scrap metal. They're hurting in China, and the
No.
media won't tell you this.
Wow, well. All right, I'm gonna take off, guys. Have a good morning. I'll see you
Sheree, later on. I feel like we
later.
gained ground, Sheree. We had animosity in the beginning. I feel like we came in common ground.
Well, that's typically that works out. That you ever notice how that kind of works out for
Yeah,
the best sometimes? You kind of
yeah,
clash with someone ish, and you work your way through it.
yeah. Like us dudes, we have a fist fight. We end up having a beer after.
And
We're
then
like,
your best bud, then your best
yeah.
bud. Yep, yep. All right. So we had our first fight, and now we're best buds.
Yeah, yeah. Good, good. I feel like good people's always find good people's on apps like this, and you guys
Absolutely.
are good peoples. Have a good night.
You too. Have a good one. See you soon. CJ.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's here. I guess Clubhouse shut down. I'm on this. I will say this. I've always been wanting to just have this platform talk about myself. Someone's gonna pop up here and just shut it down, but I'll go. I don't want this to just die.
It'll
Either way,
stay open. Someone will pop in. See ya.
I'm bringing it on. I'm about to light me up and fucking smoke me a bowl as like a good white boy.
Well,
I,
that makes me a white boy too. Then.
I used to smoke blunts and joints, but I realized I was like, yo, I'm just wasting weed.
No, for sure, for
Like I'm
sure.
sitting here smoking a whole joint, and my buddy gave me a pipe, and I was playing golf. He's like, "Here, take it." And I loaded one bowl, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Oh, and you just have one puff here and
Yeah,
there, and it's perfect. It's perfect.
yeah. Like fucking hey, dude, I can just smoke one little bowl instead of
Yeah.
rolling fucking joint, and I get just as high, and my weed lasts way longer.
Yeah. And I mean, like, how much do you really need to smoke? Like,
Exactly.
need to smoke a bunch of weed at our age.
I'm telling you, yo, when back in my day, I used to smoke mad blunts, right? Like just blunts and blunts, right? Smoking
Yeah.
eight shit, and then I stopped smoking for like a year. I had my second kid and just whatever. I just didn't smoke, right? It wasn't even I
Yeah.
didn't even think about it. I just didn't smoke. And then I went to Colorado with my buddies to go snowboarding. And my wife was like, "Are you gonna smoke?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fucking smoke." Colorado. It was like when the whole recreational shit started happening and shit. And we
Yeah.
went there. We went to the dispensary, and I hit one fucking hit of the bong. Well, it wasn't a bong. It was called like a dab. I don't know what the fuck it was. But
Uh,
I hit one hit, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I wasn't getting high before.
you were done.
Because I used to smoke a whole blunt and feel like nothing, and I took one
Yeah.
hit, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" Because I
Yeah.
guess my tolerance, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When you smoke frequently, I mean, like if you're 19 or 21,
Right.
yeah, then
Like
it
now, I can smoke two bowls and be fucking good,
absolutely.
and I don't gotta roll a joint and then fucking put it out. Roll another joint, put it out.
Oh
It's fuck.
my God. All right, Mike, I'm gonna take it down.
Later.
See ya.
See you.
Someone else is awake, I'm sure.
I look. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just gonna sit here. I mean, I'm not gonna be on mute either. I'll fuck it, right? What else I gotta do here? If I get off, I'm just gonna go scroll through some shit for another 20 minutes, and then fucking put on a cooking show and pass out. But I will say this: people need to chill the fuck out with this Trump stuff. Let this motherfucker cook, bro. Why is everyone against shaking some shit up? Like, think about what they're because they hate Trump so much. Think about what people are arguing about. I mean, you got a goddamn Democrat congressman who flew down to El Salvador thinking that he could just walk up in there and be like, hey, let me see that prisoner. You know, that guy that was an illegal immigrant to my country and is suspected of being a gang member. Can I go see him? And the dude's like, no, you fucking idiot. Like, think about that for a second. Like, imagine the Mexican president coming over to our country and be like, yo, can we see somebody? No? Fuck you talking about? Well, he needs to be brought back to America. He's a fucking citizen of El Salvador. He has zero citizenship in America. So you're gonna go. So basically, you're gonna go to El Salvador and kidnap a citizen and bring them back to like. What are we talking about? They've lost the plot. It's so insane. That's what I think the ingenious of Trump is. I think part of Trump is so troll. Like he wants to be such a troll that he actually takes these stances. That if you take the opposite, you don't even realize what you're saying. Like think about it. He's like, let's get rid of DEI, and people are like, oh, you so no black people are going to get jobs anymore. Are you saying that black people can only get jobs if there's DEI? Are you literally saying that the only reason that black people have a chance is if you implement DEI? Like they're not capable? What's wrong with you guys? The voter ID thing? Think about that. Oh, voter ID is going to disenfranchise black voters. How? Well, black people don't have IDs. What? Well, they don't know where DMVs are. They don't know how to go to the DMVs. What? Show me a fucking black person in America who doesn't have a fucking ID. What's wrong with you, racist fucks? You want to call the Republicans racist? Go fucking look in a mirror. I mean, Biden literally said this. They don't know how to go online to get in line. And he was so proud of himself, right? Because he nailed that fucking line. Oh, they don't know how to go online to get in line. Did you just say that black people don't know how to use a computer? You racist fuck. Did y'all see the video where the street interviewers going around and he asked all these white liberals at these colleges? They're like, "Do you think voter ID is racist?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, because a lot of black people don't have IDs or don't have the ability or capabilities to go get the IDs, or maybe can't go find a DMV." And then the same guy goes into like he goes into like Brooklyn or whatever to a black community, and he starts asking. He's like, "Do you have an ID?" And the one lady's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can I see it?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you know where the DMV is?" And the lady's like, "Yeah, it's over there on Fifth." Or he goes to the other place and he asks the dude, and the dude's like, "Do you know where the DMV is?" He's like, "Yeah, it's over there on fucking 22nd Street." The dude's like, "Yeah, what are you talking about?" Every black person has an ID. Do you want to know who doesn't have IDs? I'll give you guys three guesses of the only people in America who don't have IDs. Yeah, illegal people. The only motherfuckers who don't have IDs are illegal people. And they're letting them vote. Go ahead and look at the electoral map. The only states that Kamala Harris won were the states that don't have voter ID laws. Those are the only, literally, every single state she won was a state that didn't have voter ID laws. I was talking to someone who lives in Minnesota. The person in Minnesota said they walked into their voter place with their ID in their hand, and the person just handed them a ballot. They even said, they're like, "You don't need my ID?" And they're like, "No." They just handed them a ballot. And they filled out their ballot and they turned the ballot in. And I was like, "Well, what stopped you from going in again?" He was like, "Well, I didn't think about that." And I was like, "Well, why wouldn't you could just go in again if they just handed you a fucking ballot? If you're an illegal immigrant, you just walk in there, they just hand you a ballot. Now, name a country in the world that I can go to and vote in their fucking elections. Do you know how disrespectful it is to come to my fucking country and vote in my fucking election? Go fuck yourself. Straight the fuck up. I mean, not only how accepting I am, how accepting our country is of immigrants. We're the most accepting country in the world of immigrants. Hell, our goddamn ATM machines ask fucking for English or Spanish. Can you imagine if I went to like Venezuela and demanded that like a shop spoke English? Like think about that. Like I went to a Spanish speaking country and I was like, "Yo, you guys don't speak English here? What the fuck?" Think how crazy that is. And you're gonna come into my country and fucking try to vote in my election? Take resources that belong to our people. You send your kids to our public schools. You don't think public schools are resources? You don't think that our police forces that are making sure you're staying safe is part of our resources? And all of a sudden, New York's got fucking 120 million fucking dollars. They do you know New York, when that giant migration was coming over, New York actually took over an entire athletic field. It was like a whole complex of like 5 or 6 fields that was used for youth sports. right? Like soccer leagues and shit like that, right? Like fucking pee-wee leagues, right? Playing football, fucking, soccer and shit like that, right? They took over the entire field, built a huge migrant camp for like 100 something million with little like rooms in it, right? And each room had its own electricity. And they canceled the kids' season for like 2.5 years. The kids didn't even get to fucking have their fucking sports seasons because all of a sudden now Chicago's got 100 something million to build a fucking migrant fucking tent city. The hotels, they're putting migrants in hotels, but the homeless people, you ain't put them in hotels. You can't build a homeless encampment. You can build a migrant encampment, but you can't build a homeless encampment. Chicago's got, I think, what Chicago spent $85 million. They can't fix their roads or have better fucking have better training in the police forces, have better oversight and all of this stuff. Oh, our coffers are empty. Our coffers are empty. Rebuilding up playgrounds, making shit like that, making sure the schools are well funded. Our coffers are empty. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got $80 million for fucking illegal immigrants. These are illegal people. I have no problem with immigration. The country is built on immigration. That's the beauty of this country. We're constantly making new races in this country, right? Think about it. My good buddy lives in my neighborhood, right? He's a Haitian dude. Good buddy lives right down the street from me. Haitian guy married to a white chick. Now I don't know what she is, right? I don't know. I think she's some type of European, right? I mean, I still think of me and my wife as a mixed race, right? Like I'm Irish, Italian, and Eastern European. My wife's Hungarian and Polish and other European. That's a mixed race. My kids have all of that. My kids are Irish, Italian, Hungarian, Polish. Like that's a mixed fucking race. But either way, you're gonna look at them and just say white. But my buddy, Haitian dude, married to a white girl, they have 5 beautiful kids. There is no one on the planet that is like those 5 kids. Not a single person. There is no kids on the planet that have what my buddy, who's full Haitian, and whatever his wife is. Now his kids are whatever they are, and it doesn't matter who they have kids with. It's irrelevant because they are unlike any other. So it doesn't matter who they have kids with. There is now their kid is going to be something entirely new. That's the beauty of this. Italians only give birth to Italians. Chinese people only give birth to Chinese people. Russians only give birth to Russians. Here we give birth to everyone. That's the beauty. But I gotta fucking pay to live here, so you gotta fucking pay to live here. Get the fuck out of here. You don't come to my country. I mean, you're gonna go live somewhere, and the very first thing you do, your very first action, is to step across that border, wherever that line is. Right? I know sometimes it's a river or it's not like an actual line they step across, but whatever. At some point in time, they have crossed from Mexico into the United States. At some point in time, they crossed from Canada into the United States. At some point. So that is now your first action in the country you want to live in. Your first action is to break their law. That's your first fucking action? What the fuck? Go fuck yourself. You can take that illegal fucking immigrant shit and go fucking shove it up your motherfucking ass. Do you know who they're most pissed off about this? The immigrants who did it the right way. They're like, yo, it took me fucking 10 years to fucking live here. And you're just gonna fucking come fuck off. Fucking kick rocks. There's guys who came here and didn't see their family for like 8 to 10 years, sending money back, bang, 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 bang. Then he gets he gets into the process enough to where he can bring one kid over. Then maybe he brings another kid over. So then now the wife is the last one after he finally gets his citizenship. Bang, he brings her over. Bang. Now he's worked his way into have a United States citizenship. He worked his fucking ass off, kept his nose clean, made right decisions, didn't fucking fall into dumb shit, made an honest wage, contributed to his community, and brought his family over the right way. And you got motherfuckers just walking here. I mean, you had videos of where the immigrants didn't like the food they were given. You saw that shit? They're like, we don't like this food. What? What'd you just say? Get the fuck out of here. Like, get the fuck out of here. This ain't about it's all these other countries that are this and that, and it's now the United States of America, and we're just send me your come here the right way. The original immigrants, they come through Ellis Island. Ellis Island is a port of entry. Go through a port of entry and do it the right way. And if you didn't do it the right way, go back. Sorry. It is a super cool fucking thing to be an American citizen. Like, I got lucky. I could have been born in any other country in the world, bro, but my soul and my body and my existence, I was born here. It's fucking awesome. And I got to pay to live here, so do you. And if you pay to live here and you do what's right, we're going to fucking love you. We're going to love you. We have the best sense of humor in the world. We have the best work ethic in the world. We have the best fucking understanding and acceptance of people in the world. We understand what's right and what's wrong better than anybody in the world, because what's right and what's wrong here is always subjective. And it's like, oh shit, maybe I can understand that. So now we've kind of morphed into this idea of, hey, there's stuff that you don't do. And then there's stuff that's kind of like, all right, y'all just need to sort that shit out. And then there's stuff that's like, yeah, that's stupid. And we just kind of get it here. But you gotta be here. It's unique. White and black. It's what it is. And then there's Hispanic. And then there's this and that. When they leave their country, they're not Venezuelan anymore. They're Hispanic. White and black, right? Like, white and black is uniquely American. You don't call it, or you don't look and think of Putin as a white guy. Putin's a fucking Russian, right? Like, you don't think of like Hitler. You're like, oh, no, he's a fucking German, or he was Austrian technically, but whatever, right? Or any of them. They're Italians. They're French. Napoleon was a French dude. You don't like, you know what I'm saying? Hell, even with Canada, when I think of Justin Trudeau, I'm like, yeah, it's a Canadian. White is uniquely us. It's ours. It's kind of a forced thing, right? It kind of had to happen, if you really think about it, because it was stripping people of their identities. That's what the white and black thing really is, if you really think about it, right? But it was kind of a necessary evil, because if an Italian immigrant came here, I'll just talk about this from the white perspective, right? Because obvious, right? I mean, I'm white from the waist up, so we'll talk about this from the white perspective. If an Italian immigrant came here, and there was an Irish immigrant that came here, and they had a baby, is that baby Irish? Is the baby Italian? Is the baby American? Is the baby? Let's say they had the baby in New York. Are they New? Is they are the that baby a New Yorker? Is that baby a? You know what I mean? Like, what happens here? Like, I'm from Arkansas. Am I an Arkansan, or am I a United Statesian? Am I American? American. I mean, technically, there's more Americans than there is in anything in the world, right? Brazil. People from Brazil are American. They're from South America, but they're American. People from Mexico are American. So to say I'm just American doesn't really pinpoint it, right? But I can't say I'm United Statesian. I wouldn't say I'm Arkansan because I'm from Arkansas. Now I live down here in Florida. Am I Floridian? What am I? Well, how does this work? Am I the only people in the world that don't get an identity now? How does this work? A white dude from Italy is Italian. He knows he's Italian. He's Italian. He's not white. If me and a black dude from Atlanta, if we both go to Europe, I'm not a white dude and he's not a black dude. We're both American. Same as if we go to any country in Africa. He wouldn't be a fucking he would be a black dude. He wouldn't be a fucking African American in Africa. He'd be a fucking black dude. And I'd be a white dude. Or I guess they call me American, right? They wouldn't call us white and black, but they would say American, right? The black dude from Atlanta and me from Arkansas. If we go to we go to Ghana, we're going to be Americans. Now, they might say white and black, fine, but whatever. The point is that white and black is uniquely American, but it's a necessary part of American culture. And it needs to be understood. White and black is the same. It's the country is not 60% white and 15% black. It's 75% American. Does that make sense? To sit here and tell me that black people have to be only 15% of the population, they're a minority, and they're like, oh well, there's more Hispanics than there's black people. What do you mean? So Hispanics all just get counted as one? The Asians? So it doesn't matter what country you're from in that's considered Asian, you just get counted as Asian. Hispanics doesn't matter. Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala. It doesn't matter. You're just Hispanic. But black and white has to be separate. So now you're saying, oh well, there's, it's almost like 40%, 30-40% Hispanic. It's only 15% black. No, it's 75% American. White and black is the same. Calling me white is technically just as insulting as calling someone black. It's stripping people of their identity. But in reality, if you flip that on its head, white and black is uniquely American. It's ours. It's ours. White American and black American. Do you see what I'm saying? There's Latin American, African American, blah, blah, blah. White American and black American is our nationality. I don't need any more generations. This shit about, oh, where's your no, I'm from here. I have no affiliation with anywhere in fucking Europe. I give a fuck less about anywhere in fucking Europe or England. I give a fuck less. My grandfather was the first one born here as far as we trace back. My grandfather was the first one born here. My father was born here. I was born here. Now my kids were born here. That's 4 generations of people that were born here. Like, how many more do I need? Like, fuck, like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? You got me fucked up with this bullshit that America's not supposed to be whatever. And these illegal immigrants, yo, get with the program or get the fuck out. Sorry. Same with the racists. I say the same thing to the racists. The South lost. Sorry. Get with the fucking program or get the fuck out. Saying how this is going to work. All this bullshit about, ooh, well, what about this? No, fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. You know how good it is to be you know how easy it is to be a good person? People talk about prison. You know how easy it is to stay out of fucking prison? Like, literally, staying out of prison is one of the easiest things I do all day. It's one of the fucking easiest tasks I have to take care of all day. Staying out of prison. You know what? As a matter of fact, staying out of prison, I don't even think about it. It doesn't even cross my mind. Staying out of prison is one of the fucking simplest tasks I have. You got me fucked up with this shit. This is crazy. This is fucking crazy. Well, they're not criminals. They crossed the motherfucking border illegally. It's a goddamn criminal. Well, they're seeking asylum. Well, if you're seeking asylum, go to the fucking port of entry. Guess who's at the port of entry? Authorities. If you're scared for your life, why would you not go to where the fucking authorities are? Explain that to me. You're telling me you're fleeing your country and you're scared for your life and you're going to go fucking put your trust in the cartels? Fuck out of here. You do that because you know you're not seeking asylum legitimately. You know you have no claim to be here. It's like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm not heartless. Just not. Come the right way. Let us know who you are. Let us know what's going on here. Pay into the shit. Do all the right stuff. Understand the culture. American culture is not like other places' cultures. Understand the culture. Understand how it works. Whatever. fucking shit got me bent, bro. I'm tired of the Trump shit. I'm tired of people banging on Trump because he's trying to fucking shake some shit up and try to actually put some reasoning and logic to this shit. And everyone's like, well, like I said earlier, bro, everyone's operating from this standpoint that Trump is the only one that's trying to get rid of people so he can get done what he wants. Take a step back and think. He's getting rid of the people that are keeping the corruption going. These judges that are doing all these I think they're called injunctions or whatever, they're actually showing their hands. Because what are you trying to stop? Think about this. What are you trying to stop, judges? Did you tell me the guy who runs the executive branch does not have control of who works in the executive branch? What are we talking about right now? Well, you didn't fire them the right way. So you want us to rehire them and then fire them the right way? I don't understand. This is You can't deport illegal immigrants. What? What do you mean they need due process? What do you mean due process? They're fucking illegal. Well, they have rights. What rights? They're illegal. What are we talking about right now? Some of these cities, did you see the fucking thing where ICE went to the prison to get the one guy because the guy was an illegal immigrant and then committed a crime, and the prison was a sanctuary city and they wouldn't return him to ICE, and so ICE had to literally wait outside the jail because the jail in the city would not like walk him in custody, like in handcuffs, walk him into ICE. They wouldn't do it. So they had to wait outside off of property, right? Outside of the parking lot. They had to wait there. And when the dude was let out, he started trying to run. So there was like a foot race. And they had to go chase the dude down, which they caught him, right? Because there was like 20 fucking officers. So they went there. The dude tried to make a move, right? Boom, boom, boom. One dude falls, bang, 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 right? They end up tackling the guy, bang, 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 whatever, right? And they get the guy. And it's like, what are we doing? Why wouldn't you just hand him over to ICE? Like, we're a sanctuary city. Why? Why? Not only is this dude illegal, he committed another fucking crime. And you're just going to let him out? What if ICE wasn't there? He would just disappear into your neighborhood? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And people are like, oh, look at ICE. They're having to like chase people down the streets. Yeah, thank God ICE was there. Thank God. Because if they weren't there, that means that I think it was Minneapolis. I think it was, I want to say, no, it was Colorado. It was in Colorado. And like if ICE wasn't there, they would have released this dude and he just would have walked back into the neighborhood. The dude was an illegal immigrant who then committed a crime. I think it was like a domestic thing. He like beat up someone. Like the dude committed illegal and then committed a crime, and they were just gonna let him go. And ICE was like, "Yo, just give him to us." And no, but ICE was there. Now imagine if he was let back into the community. Now ICE would have to go into the community and find him. There, all kinds of shit could happen then. It's fucking crazy. Like, what are we doing? This is what I don't understand about the Democratic Party. Go like, you guys have lost the plot. Change your policies. Fucking weirdos. I don't fucking understand it. I just don't understand it. So what happens here? Do I just like, how's this work? this normal? Does this always end with like? Because obviously, like if this happens every time, and everyone just falls asleep while they're on here, there's always one person who says the last word, right? Regardless of what it is, right? Even if it's like two people are talking, they're like, "All right, good night, bye, bye, bye," and they both like go away. One of them said the last word. So, is it normal that like one person just starts talking forever and ever, ever? I don't know. I don't know what to do here. So I feel bad leaving in a weird way. Also, it's awkward. I have no one to say bye to, but have, I get to just kind of say whatever I want right now. That's kind of cool too, right? How does this work? What do I do here? I'm in this weird predicament. I took a lot of shit today from people. I took a lot of shit, dude. Man, if there's any motherfuckers here listening and they were hearing earlier, and y'all are just like sitting there listening and don't really want to say anything, they were giving me shit for no fucking reason. All they had to do was build with me, and they were just wanting to just give me shit. They were finding weird shit to give me shit about. Like, what were y'all even arguing? It was so strange. It really was the strangest thing in the world. And even Jay's a good dude, man. We were arguing at the beginning, and then it was like, yo, we're actually saying the same shit, dude. We're saying the same shit. Just let this fucking shit play out, man. Let them shake some shit up. I'm telling y'all, man. Look, hide and watch, yo. Trump, I'm telling y'all, 50 years from now, right, when we're the ones in our 80s and shit, right, and we're the old ones being like, yo, man, we're back in 2020. You know, Trump will be dead and gone, right? We'll be old and shit. He's going to go down as one of the best presidents of all time. Certainly in the modern era. It's not even going to be close. But guys, it's not even going to be close. I mean, his first term. I mean, can you imagine if COVID didn't happen? Go look at the graphs and the projections of how his first term was going, and when COVID hit, it was insane. Gas was like $1.15. Y'all remember that? Gas was $1.15. It was crazy. And then COVID hit, right? And well, I mean, what happens there? Everyone can have our opinion on COVID and how that was kind of whatever, right? But then, like, Biden wins. If Trump would have won that election and he had those 8 straight years,